The Joe Rogan Experience.
I want to hear more conspiracies, Eddie. Let's
What
go.
I'm saying.
I like Eddie.
You know what? The
half in
submarine.
bag, son.
Fuck the submarine.
You're not into the Hunter stuff though. What's
No,
up
the
with
Hunter
that?
stuff is
What about the
interesting.
UFOs?
UFOs, it's Project Blue
We
Beam.
used to
dog.
be all in on UFOs.
Dude, are you?
back in the
I was
day.
a UFO. Dude, I
Bro,
was the UFO.
Is there ice in there? Oh,
not.
good.
We don't have any ice.
Yeah, those balls.
Get some Mars. We'll get some Mars.
I got more whiskey here.
Do you remember when you and I first got into Zechariah Sitchin?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we were convinced
Hell yeah.
the Anunnaki.
You know
were
how I got
coming.
into it? You know, I remember how we got into it because remember Gina, the girl I used to make music with?
Yes.
She was like, she was, at some party and we were working on some music. She goes, last night this guy told me about, there's this guy who wrote about some transcripts or something like that, and he said he was telling me that we're created by aliens to mine gold. And I remember like, what? She goes, yeah, he was telling me about this. I go, what's his name? His name was like Jody, because my friend Jody was telling me about this guy, and I'm like, can you call him up? And because it made sense to me, like, wait a minute, we were created as slaves to mine gold for this other planet? I was all balls deep in the UFOs. So I called this motherfucker. I go, do you remember what you were telling Gina? And he goes, yeah, there's this guy named Zechariah Sitchin. Look him up. He wrote a book called The 12th Planet. And I'm like, okay. So boom, got into it. I'm like, oh shit, I believe that shit. They got me hook, line, and sinker, man. But yeah. And then
So Eddie, do you think that do you believe that whistleblower, like that he's actually seeing the UFO?
I believe a lot of the people that see UFOs really believe they see it, and they just get set up. I think they're just.
But they're not seeing UFOs. They're seeing
They're
maybe a drone. They
exactly.
don't know the technology.
Holograms, drones, some high level shit. They're pushing it so hard. It's so obvious.
That's
it's
what's
so
weird,
fucking obvious.
is that they're pushing it.
It's so obvious.
When it goes mainstream, I'm like, what's going on here? What
No,
are they trying
dude,
to
come
distract
on,
us
dog.
from?
And then at the same time, the Biden crime family shit's coming out, dog. All that shit where they said Rudy Giuliani was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He's a crackpot.
Yep.
2-3 years ago, they made him look like a fucking crackpot. And all he was doing was, I got the laptop right here. We got it all right here. And the scariest part was they got 51 intelligence officers to sign off on it.
That's
That is
crazy.
How scary
Dude,
is that?
scary. Scary. You had
That's
51
scary.
guys bullshit?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When
Scary.
They knew that it was legit in 2019.
Dude, scary. That's scary
That's
shit.
crazy.
Have you looked up the
And
laptop
what's
shit?
scary is no one is facing any repercussions.
Zero. He got a slap on
What
the
about all
wrist.
those guys?
Not just him. I'm talking about the people who told everyone that it was Russian
Oh,
disinformation.
they suffer no consequences.
And you know what? They stick with it, though, because they're saying that the justice system is corrupt by saying that it's not.
Yeah.
They go, oh, they're lying. So it's just a lot of confusion.
Thank you, Jamie.
Dude, I went to the website where they released all his pictures and shit. That boy, a wild boy. He looks like a good time, I gotta be honest.
Oh,
Hey, can I
Hunter's
have
a
the
wild
ball
boy.
one? Can I have the ball ice?
I'll get
Yes.
some more.
No,
That
let's
is
go.
ball ice, no?
This is not
Oh,
ball
sorry.
ice.
Yeah, you got
I
it.
want the ball ice.
I want the ball too, but I love you.
Thank you.
And you're talking
I owe
conspiracies.
You. I owe you.
I know you conspiracies, the best in the world.
Dude, I'm not, dude, I'm keeping my mouth shut, dog. When 51 intelligence officers say it's Russian disinformation when it's not, and
we
they
know
knew
for a
it,
fact, I know.
scary. What kind of country are we living in? And all the shit they're throwing at Trump, they're trying to get rid of that motherfucker,
Good
dude.
luck.
I'll say real
Makes them
clear.
bigger.
What is that? I'm keeping my shut. It's just fucking rattled
No,
off.
I ain't saying
51
shit.
intelligence
No,
officers.
I'm saying what's already out there.
Keep your mouth shut.
Dude, I'm just saying what's out there,
yes.
dog.
Fuck
You know what I mean?
Texas.
I'm not trying to get fucking killed. I'm good. I got him. I got plenty good.
Let me get some of that, Joe. Let me...
This
Shout to
is,
Bodega Cat.
Isn't that crazy, dude?
Balcones,
They could have got 10 guys to sign off on it, and that would have been a lot. But
lot.
They went 50 because they know if they get 50, it's gonna be no doubt. Everyone's gonna believe that shit, right? And they stick with it even today. The mainstream media, they still stick with it.
Let me ask you this. Why do they still keep singing the national anthem at a boxing fight? Because that shit takes so much time.
Damn,
have you been-
Seattle.
You must be. I mean, because you're here, right? You feel tremors. They happen all the time, right? I've only had a few times when I
not
felt
all
tremors.
the time. I've felt them before. The biggest ones I ever felt was when I first moved here. I first moved here in '94, and it was right after the Northridge earthquake.
Yeah.
And I was in my house, and I felt, I guess it was like a 5.5, where the whole thing. It was weird. Like,
Yeah.
It gave me the impression that the house that I was living in, or the apartment that I was in, was made out of the same stuff. like a box that a refrigerator would come in.
Yeah.
You know how you kind of move it around?
Yeah, you can go and play inside. Yeah.
The whole thing was just moving like easily left and right. I was like, holy shit.
Well, that was I've only had a times that I've, felt on it. I'm like, it's at first I thought it was a truck. I thought a truck was rolling by. Yeah. And I'm like, and somebody's like, no, man, that was an earthquake.
And the one that I experienced was nothing. I mean, it's a baby one. The ones that they're getting, right now, somewhere in the world, I mean, there's always something that's like a 5 or a 6.
Yeah. So this goes back to the point about the, a lot of planets, right, will be like way more plate tectonically active.
Volatile.
Yeah, than ours. So, I think good planets are going to be like really hard to find.
Yeah.
So, that may be the solution. The other solution is, the way you guys found out about it was I did that article about the previous civilization. How do you know whether or not there was a previous civilization on Earth? And, one solution could be that, look, they were here. That somebody did arrive and spent some time on Earth. But if it was like 500 million years ago and they only lasted, right, every civilization has a finite lifetime. They only lasted for, even a few 100,000 years, they wouldn't leave. There'd be no record left.
There would be nothing left.
There'd be nothing left.
Do you think possible that something's ever visited here? And because that is the big question, and that's the thing that gets the UFO dorks more jazzed up than anything is the possibility that we've been visited.
Yeah, I'm definitely not UFOs. I have two arguments against UFOs. One is as a friend of mine, Jason Wright, says, is like, look, as astronomers, man, we're finding all those asteroids. We're finding little chunks of rock moving. Nobody looks at the sky harder than we do, right? And if anything, unless you want to go to the conspiracy theories, we would have found something. My other argument is like, what's with the headlights? You know what I mean? People are always like, oh man, I saw lights in the sky and then they moved around and then they disappeared. But they don't really want to be seen. I'm like, well, why do they have headlights on? Like, why just turn off the freaking lights?
Why would they?
It's like what you came from another civilization and you can't get around without your high beams.
What the fuck are you seeing with those lights?
Right.
You're not seeing shit.
Yeah, right.
When was the last time you saw, planes have lights so other planes don't run into them. They don't have lights so they can see where they're going.
Yeah, so what? So they have, right, exactly. Yeah. The planes have lights so other people can see them. So if they're they're mysterious, they don't want to be found, then turn off the freaking lights. So, they
wouldn't need lights. Right. Yeah, they always have lights.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right. People are always, oh man, I saw lights in the sky, and then they move back and forth, and so I just think
also human memory. Memory is horrible.
Yeah,
and memory of events that are stunning, or shocking, or unnerving, or you think you saw something.
Right, they've done all sorts, even in trials, right, where people see things. So I just UFOs, I'm just kind of like,
but. Do you think it's possible that there could be life on other planets, and it's possible that there could be intelligent life on other planets, and we send probes to Mars? Why wouldn't we? And I think that if they do send something here, they're going to send something without biological life inside of it.
Yeah, what's a really interesting question is, like, we're talking about, like, what will we evolve into in, a million years? It may be possible that biology is a short period of intelligence.
Yeah,
like you build machines, and the machines become, either you build yourself into them. I mean, that's a real possibility that, like, silicon makes a lot more sense than wetware.
Well, they probably think of artificial intelligence as artificial.
Right.
It's definitely real.
Right. Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
It's not fake. It's right there.
Right.
It's like there's artificial milk. You know what I mean? But it's a liquid. It's an actual liquid.
Yeah.
There's not an artificial life. It's just silicon created life.
Right. And that's, again, the idea that this may be what the biosphere solution to spreading itself, to getting it, maybe that, like, silicon, that's a kind of a normal phase. I mean, I am super skeptical about, like, the whole transhuman thing about we're going to download ourselves into into computers.
Have you ever gone to one of those conventions and talked to those dorks?
No, there's some serious dorking going on there.
Well, there's geniuses in those dorks too. It's really interesting. It's like they're wholly committed to this prospect of downloading themselves. Have you talked to Kurzweil before?
No, but I've read his stuff.
I had a chance to interview him a few years back for Sci-Fi.
He's super smart. That dude is, like,
beyond
super smart.
But goddamn, is he committed to it? And then when you get to it, you realize that what he actually wants to do is recreate his father. Yeah, his father died when he was young, and he wants to be able to, through memories and photographs and what he knows about his father, literally recreate his father be able to have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
He was talking about this.
Right.
But what he's doing is he's going way, way into the future, into the possibilities of, he's not seeing like, 5 years from now, we're going to be able to send, gigabyte pictures through the mail. No, he's saying, let's think of if you keep going exponentially and electronics and technology and innovation keeps continually accelerating, we could potentially get to the point where it's the impossible. Well, you would be able to recreate human beings based on your knowledge of them, and they'll be able to come up with some sort of a program where he'll be able to have a conversation with his father.
Yeah, see, I think that I think it's it's true about like the possibility of a singularity in technological development, but it's not going to be his father. That's the sad thing. You know, I think we seriously, I've done some work on this as an interest of mine about mind. What is mind? What's the relationship between mind and matter? And I think we have like a serious misunderstanding. We don't understand consciousness very well at all. So the idea that like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be trivial to download your consciousness into a computer, I think it's pretty, there's like a shitload of assumptions in there about like what mind is and the relationship between like your neurons and, awareness. Yeah. So that's why I think those guys, it's a little bit of a religion. You know what I mean? So
it is a little bit of a religion.
We will transcend and, so it's like.
Well, 45 is the new benchmark for whatever reason. That's the new number.
They're going to keep pushing it back. It's going to be like every other, every other, we thought it was 2045. We really meant 2065, Well,
we went to 2045 conference, me and my friend Ari and Duncan, and we got to talk to some of these guys, and it was really fascinating. And one of them had created some robot that was supposed to be him, but it didn't work well, so they never revealed it at the conference. It had too many bugs in it. But it's intriguing. It's like I want them to keep going. Because, I mean, when are we going to get to Ex Machina? When are we going to get
to... Talk about good art. So, like, just, like, simple. He's
Perfect.
not beating you over the head with it. It's
no
just
cut
like,
moments in that movie.
Yeah, no.
You were like, whoa. The entire... I think that's one of my all-time, top 20 movies.
When she's just emotionless. Just like, I'm putting the blade in.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Did you like Annihilation?
I
liked it too.
I didn't like it as much, but I liked it. It was very weird. And the ending seemed like some producers put their jizz in the soup. It's just like,
back to panspermia.
Yeah, what's happening here? Who made this part?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it,
Yeah. It's like, and the danger with anything when it comes to AI. And so here's an interesting thing about AI. Like, we are making amazing strides with AI.
Yeah.
Now, artificial intelligence is different from artificial consciousness. You know what I mean? So, like, but the AI that, what we're getting out of it is nothing like us, right? So, back in the day where people were like, oh, we're going to, like, model the human brain, and that's how we'll do it. We'll, like, make programs that are and what they've learned is, like, oh, that doesn't really work that well. So now this is the whole big data thing. Like, network theory and big data and deep learning, where like, they're using statistical, the power of having huge amounts of computing and statistical reasoning so that like, the computer, like, it'll find the picture of the cat, but you have no idea why it found the picture. It didn't reason like, oh yeah, that sort of looks like cat and I like cats. It was just like, oh, these kinds of lines go with that kind of thing. It has no idea what it's doing, but it'll act intelligently. And so that's, that's kind of freaky deaky in a lot of ways too. I think I think it's smart to think about the dangers of AI, not necessarily when it takes over.
Dangers to us.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the dangers. Just the dangers to this thing that we are, this weird monkey thing.
Yeah.
That wants to keep being a monkey thing.
Yeah. Well, you mean in the that it's going to replace us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I mean, don't you think that if you go back and interview the single-celled organism before it branched off into multi-celled,
that'd be kind of a boring interview.
Fuck this multi-celled bullshit. Single cell at the bottom of the ocean.
These guys are animals, man, with their rock and roll music.
They're going to make cars? Fuck that. I don't want a car, man. I like staying down here.
Yeah.
Like there's a real thought to that we are the wetware that is the problem.
Yeah. No. I think it's fully conceivable. Like, I'm not going to be like, it'll never happen. But as a guy I know who's a philosopher says, there's a certain way in which everything we do with AI right now, it's not like, Watson is playing chess. It's like using Watson to play chess. It's our tool, And I think the fear is the tool gets out of hand. Not that it like develops a thing where like, I hate humans, Dad, I hate you. But more that it's like, these things which are not actually thinking, they act intelligently, but they're not thinking, can have a huge, like, it'll have a really negative impact. It'll what is it? There's that example of like, if you design something that is an AI system to make paper clips, it ends up consuming the entire planet making paper clips because that's what you told it to do.
Right. You never told it a sustainable amount of paper clips.
Right. Exactly. So I'm more worried about that than I am of like Skynet, coming over and like, deciding that it's going to, drop all the bombs on us because it needs to get rid of us.
Well,
The Joe Rogan Experience.
For the aliens,
what do you think? If you had a bet, $100, your last $100.
it's hard. If I had $100 and we were going to find out, I'd say I'm leaning more towards yes than no.
I'm leaning more towards yes too.
I wasn't leaning before that interview. I wasn't though.
I was for the documentary, that Jeremy Corbell documentary, Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. Before that, I was like, mostly bullshit.
Is that one available? Like
Netflix. Yeah,
Okay.
it's great. There's a lot of old Bob Lazar shit too, from the George Knapp interviews where he goes over the details of the craft and he describes it and explains it. And that motherfucker knew about Element 115 in the 1990s.
That's one of the big ones that gets me. That's one of the big ones that's like, that's a big red flag that this dude's real.
There's a lot. Who knows? But there's a lot that makes me go,
I know we talk about this all the time, but I so fucking wish Sasquatch was real. I do, man. Every time I'm in Oregon or in Washington, I'm walking around, I buy all the little like roadside trinkets and shit. I love that shit. I wish he was fucking real, man.
It would be nice, but I think it's not a dead one.
You would have. That's one of the ones I'm like 90% sure. You always got to give room. You always got to give room for the possibility.
The thing is, people really believe and then go looking for it. They invest so much time in it, they start going crazy.
Yeah.
Like Survivor Man, Les Stroud.
Yes.
He's gone.
Gone.
He's gone. He's out there in the woods.
Yeah.
He's got a pup tent waiting for Bigfoot to knock on the fucking zippers.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. He's 100% believer now.
Yeah.
And he does that Survivor Man Bigfoot show. Where he's like, what? I heard a branch snap. Cut the commercial.
That's definitely a Squatch.
Yeah. Those shows are weird, man. Because those shows have been on TV, like Surviving Bigfoot. Or Finding Bigfoot, rather. So Finding Bigfoot was on TV for like, what, 8 fucking years? They never found shit.
No.
Like, how the fuck do you keep renewing that show?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to breathe underwater. The show's called Breathing Underwater. Can you breathe underwater? Not yet.
Tune in next week.
Next season, though, we're going to try again to breathe underwater.
We'll figure this shit out, y'all. Just give us an off season. We'll get this.
These scientists, they're saying no one can breathe underwater. Not yet.
They don't know shit.
Trust me.
Honestly, Louisiana, we got a guy. He breathes underwater.
If there was a Bigfoot, no one would be happier than me.
Dude, I'd be right there, though. I'd be fucking stoked.
Imagine seeing it in age.
Yeah.
Just fucking
Trying
to get out, looking around at
no,
people.
not cave. I want to see it like in
the forest?
Pick of Destiny, like the mushroom strip where he's like walking and singing with him.
Oh,
and Jack
right.
Black's Pick of Destiny. Pick of Destiny.
I would want to be there. I want to see it with my own eyes.
For
a
sure.
video, like, man, I saw 80-foot tall Donald Trump with a Hillary Clinton head powering it, walking through a post-apocalyptic Philadelphia. You can't prove to me that video is real.
I need to see it.
I would shit my pants. I don't know what I would say though. If I was in the woods and I was camping and I saw a fucking 9-foot tall gorilla, I don't know what I would say.
You wouldn't. I mean, if you came
might
back,
keep my mouth shut.
you'd probably have to.
Yeah, because you'd feel so stupid.
Yeah. Well, plus, say there is one out there. There's a lot of bullshit artists out there telling you they saw some shit. You know, a lot of people trying to get some camera time.
There can't be one though. If it's going to be a living thing, there has to be a living
family.
population of them. Yeah, because primates don't live that long. Like, I don't think there's a primate that lives any older than humans.
Yeah. We're way into the weeds. We know it doesn't exist. So
Most likely
sucks.
doesn't exist. Yeah, as they get better and better at like using drones and scanning the forests and stuff, it's getting less and less likely.
Yeah. I used to, as a kid, though, like walk out in the woods and like look and hope he was around, you know?
Hope, yeah.
And when I was living in Oregon, I was like, Hell's Canyon is probably one of the least explored parts of Oregon. If he was anywhere, he'd be up there, you know?
Well, dense-ass, thick forests in the Pacific Northwest, which is one of the reasons why I think it's so attractive.
Yeah.
Because, you think, like, man, anything could be in here. No one knows.
Right.
Like, you go outside of Philadelphia, or, Seattle, when you go into, what is it? What's the mountain out there? What's the St. Helens? St. Helens is the one that blew, but there's another one that, anyway. Those big-ass mountains filled with soup. The trees are so dense, it's like a box of Q-tips.
Yeah.
Just one after the other. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. And the forest floor is all pine needles so that nothing would leave a footprint.
Right.
And then you're like, what? If you saw something 30 yards away, it could disappear instantly. Left, right, you wouldn't know where the fuck it is. You'd never find it. And it could be out there. So I think that also leads to this delusional idea that it might be alive.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Aykroyd's crazy into UFOs. He's like one of the main celebrities they pull up when people start talking about like UFO real believers. He's done like little clips where he narrates things. UFO shows and shit. He fucking believes.
Well, didn't they just release that there's even more belief now about UFOs?
Yeah, fun. I don't know if it's real, but it's fun. That's how I feel.
Doug, I did a podcast with Jim Florentine, and I explained to Jim Florentine that what people don't know is that Hudson County, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, is the number one place in the country where they have the most UFO sightings.
Really? Northern New Jersey.
Look it up, Jamie, if you get a minute, please, not to be rude.
But isn't that like near a couple airports?
No, it's closer to like you know, like when you live in New York City and you look at the Hudson River. Mm-hmm. They say that people go on their balcony, they're drinking coffee, they're talking on the phone, and they'll see a little flying saucer go by.
Really?
And I know for a fact that in 1976,
a little one,
whatever the fuck they are, I know for a fact that in 1975 and 1976, you could check me out on this. A UFO landed in Hudson County Park. I was a kid, and the next day the feds locked off the park. They had yellow tape. They had samples. Go look it up, dog. There's a UFO. You see that's called, North Bergen is where I'm from. That's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a circular building. So they did so much coke in there in the 80s, they called it the grinder. That's what they called it because it was shaped like the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge. I have a couple that lived there. People that lived in that building have seen UFOs for fucking years. And if you go to YouTube, there's an actual North Hudson Park UFO. Wow. They dug up, they came out to there's a liquor store. And the liquor store guy says he's seen the lights. Mm-hmm. You heard like the organ music that they play. Ooh. They landed. A couple Martians got out and took samples and got back in the thing and took off. There's a YouTube thing. There's a History Channel special about it. And I still remember being a young kid.
Did you find anything, Jamie?
That was what's popping up. All that stuff about that building and.
Oh yeah, no.
Is there anything that says a UFO landed?
That's the story I'm reading right now. Is what he's saying. Yeah.
And witnesses. You know, it's not just one guy that says, "I know UFO." It's people who got knocked on the door and said, did you see anything at 11:10 at night? And they said, you know what? There were lights flashing outside. They contacted police departments to see if there was any. They went full. Then the FBI came in, circled the park. It was by the Little League field in Hudson County. But it is, like you'd think it was Area 51. You'd think it was close to northern Las Vegas. The number one place to see UFOs is northern New Jersey. They even made a reference to it in The Sopranos. When he said something, he goes, what are you talking about? Last week you said you seen a UFO in Hackensack. Because that's where they're at. Hackensack, Moonachie.
Right.
All those. You ever go to Moonachie, New Jersey? A lot of ugly people. A lot of people with big heads. The only good thing in Moonachie, New Jersey is fucking Segovia, Spanish restaurant. It's been there since 19 fucking Schlemensky. I don't know. But that's the only good thing about Moonachie. I think those people in Moonachie have been abducted. There you go. And they back as big-headed motherfuckers.
I did a gig there a couple times.
There used to be like a bar. There's a bar that did something in Moonachie.
Was that a Bob Gonzo gig?
Yeah, outside the Seacoast.
Was it?
Yeah, it's outside. No. I think Bob is more down the shore. And
he
stuff.
he had gigs all over.
He had gigs all over, Bob. How I met Bob is he did a gig in Romano's Italian restaurant in my hometown. And my buddy's like, hey, aren't you a comedian? Let's take you up there. And we went up there, and Bob's like, I don't know him. He's an unknown. And next thing Bob came up to me, he's like, Doug, I got to put you up because my friends threatened me. So Bob put me up, and we've become friends ever since.
That's awesome.
I think I follow him on Facebook. We have a chat from time to time on Facebook. But yeah, for you UFO motherfuckers, look into northern New Jersey. That's the fucking motherload of them.
That's interesting. I had read before, but I kind of
There you go.
51 UFO sightings in 2018. You get biased because the story is always some person in the woods and they get abducted. They see a UFO in some strange town in the middle of nowhere. The aliens land and abduct people. You always think about it being a rural thing. But if I was an alien, of course I'd go to New York City. Of course I'd go to New Jersey. What the fuck? Why wouldn't you? You want to go see the craziest thing we have? You got like 7 million people stuffed together on a fucking tiny island in comparison to the rest of the planet. Stuff stacked on top of each other. Awesome, amazing buildings. All these lights at Times Square. Look at all these people mulling around, traveling over these bridges to get to this one hub, this one hive of humanity. Of course, if I was an alien, I would check that out. Why would I look at a barn? You know what I mean?
You used to joke that the United States is the Tijuana
Of outer space.
of outer space. Like they're like, what are we doing this weekend? We're going to fucking.
They come down when they're fucking. They want to see a show.
They want
That was the whole bit. Is that I think aliens come here when they're high. They just get fucked up. They're like, come on, let's go check out the monkeys. Let's go, dude. Come on, let's abduct a couple of them. Have a good time. Let's go see the monkey people.
I never saw a fucking UFO, but
I want to. I never know.
I want to land and I want to see one of those green dudes get out. So I
think I thought I saw some shit when I was a kid, but as I got older, I thought that was like a fighter jet or something. That's what that was. Like there was something. God, it's a real sketchy memory. It's one of those memories that's like barely active. But I remember thinking for like a day or two when I was like a little kid, maybe I saw a UFO. But I think I was trying to convince myself of it. You know, I was bored. But I think it was a jet. I think it was something fast and unusual. Have you ever seen one of those stealth bombers? That looks like a fucking UFO. Have you ever seen one of those things in the sky?
No, yes.
It looks like a Star Wars
Like when
movie.
you go to like a Blue Angel fucking thing, those planes.
Yeah,
that
they'll
they
probably
use?
no. Those are like I think those are FA-18s. That's what I think it is. I think that's what that is. I flew in one of those. I had a bit about that too. Yeah, you got to do that. You hold on to the hand. You got to do it. You hook. You either hold on to your handle if you're steering the plane, or you hold on to your straps if you're a passenger. I was in the passenger seat, so I grabbed a hold of my straps, and you have to go like this, and you have to force blood into your brain to stay awake. That's how much G-force you're going through. It's insane.
Force blood into your brain to stay awake.
See, that's one of those stealth bombers. I saw one of those air over, I guess it's Edwards Air Force Base. Is that what the one it is? That's Edwards, the one that's out near Palmdale? I think that's it. Because we used to film Fear Factor in Palmdale, and we saw that thing fly overhead like that. Look at that thing. Tell me that doesn't look like it's from another planet. When you're on the ground and you see that fly overhead, you're like, what the fuck is that? So I think that's responsible for a bunch of the things that people saw. I think it's military crafts.
Can I ask you a question on that article you pulled up, the 51 sightings? What type of sightings do you
Look
have?
at this fucking thing.
What is considered a sighting?
Well, the thing is, like, you just see shit. But how do you know if... What are you doing, Jim?
These are the sightings.
Okay, but go back to that video. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. If you're just sitting on the ground, you saw that, you're like, they're coming! The aliens are coming! That does not look like it's from this world. That thing is madness.
Especially with those two guys next to him.
God, it's fucking beautiful, though. Like, what an amazing design. That thing flying through, it looks like something on a keyboard. You know, it looks like a symbol on a keyboard. And it's just flying perfectly through the air. That looks like the future. I mean, that really does look like it's from another world. I would imagine, like, little blue dudes with black eyes and talking to each other in that thing. Going through fucking wormholes and shit. I mean, that's what that thing looks like. And what's the thing that they're going to have 100 years from now? Just imagine that.
I just want to know what the logistics is for it to be considered a legitimate sighting.
Legitimate sighting?
Legitimate sighting.
It just means it's thought. You know, you don't, like, if you're a lawyer, okay, and you see something, and then you convince yourself that what you saw was something extraordinary, and you have the feeling that you're looking at something from another world. But if it's just some drone or some military vehicle, and then you look at it, and then you convince yourself, then it becomes a bigger and bigger deal in your head. That's a problem with people. It doesn't mean that everybody that sees something is seeing that, but people are kind of full of shit.
Well, let's say there's a 1-800 call Martian. Mm-hmm. All right. I see a fucking thing. I call that thing.
1-800 Martian.
Yeah, call Martian. Okay, whatever the fuck.
Okay.
1-800 Martian.
Right.
The phone won't stop ringing. Okay, the phone
It
won't
will
stop
never
ringing.
stop ringing.
It'll never stop ringing.
There'll be people talking to Martians.
My concern is, when do they consider it credible? What does it take for it to be credible? For me, for it to be credible, I got to see the motherfucker land, get out.
My take is usually military guys. When you have military fighter pilots, that's an extraordinary human. If you can be one of those guys that flies one of those B-2s, for them to trust you with that $1 billion fucking spaceship, dude, you got to be an exceptional human. There's no room for someone who's full of shit. You're going to be a top flight fighter pilot. You're going to fly around with gunfights in the sky, because that's what they do. They have gunfights in the fucking sky. Those guys are exceptional human beings. So when they see something, that's when I listen, for sure. Everybody else, I'm not that I wouldn't listen, but I don't know. You might be crazy. But if you might be crazy even if you're in the military. You might be crazy if you're a fighter pilot. It's 100% possible.
So those pilots and all those Air Force pilots that do test runs or whatever, they say that they see things?
There's a bunch of sightings. Not only a bunch of sightings, there's a bunch of sightings from the really credible guys. What is this? Fleet of UFOs followed U.S. aircraft Navy pilot says.
Yeah,
May
this is what
29th.
I'm talking about.
See, these guys are talking about these things. These aren't guys with histories of embellishing things. They have this, whatever that is. Is that radar? What are they looking at? Is that infrared? Like, what is that screen that they're looking for? Does it say what kind of image it is? Because it's like a weird look. It's not like a photograph, right? It's like a weird computer image. Because it's detecting it, right, with some piece of equipment, right? Isn't it? Like tracking it on radar or something like that?
I know what you're saying because I feel like I've heard that description of it too, but this article just says it's video of 2 aerial encounters.
That's tremendous.
But that video doesn't look very clear. Why isn't it clear? My phone does a better job than that shit.
They don't have very good cameras on those.
Cameras,
they have good. I didn't mean they don't have good ones, but like in order to catch movement at that high speed up there, yada yada, all that stuff.
Oh, so it would require some exceptional gear.
I think, and it could have also been at night. I don't know what time of day it was.
So convenient. So convenient that they never have a clear picture. That drives me fucking crazy. It drives me fucking crazy because if it is real, I want it to be real. Honestly, I really do. But when I look at it, I go, God damn, so many people are so crazy and so many people are so full of shit.
You personally, and so do I,
dun, dun, dun.
that there's other galaxies out there. There has to be.
Well, there are definitely galaxies, other civilizations.
Other civilizations.
Yeah.
Some form somewhere. Out of the 9 planets, there's got to be something.
Brian,
I don't know what. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what they're called or whatever, but there has to be something. At this point, you have to believe that.
The universe is big. It's just too big to discount, to say, nope, I doubt it. Like, that's so crazy to say. Just because we haven't seen it yet, it's so big.
There's the explanation of what he caught and what.
He said that though tracking radar and infrared cameras on his aircraft detected UFOs both times, he was unable to capture them on his helmet camera. Okay.
So maybe he couldn't look at it, get it in good vision or whatever.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or that's a good reason why.
I would imagine as fast as those goddamn things are going, it must be really hard to get a camera to be able to constantly focus in and out. And
interesting. He says that Lieutenant Ryan Graves, a squadron of UFOs followed his Navy strike group up and down the eastern coast of the U.S. for months. I'm telling you, that little fucking... I read something about the Hudson River, that all those people that live across the Hudson River, whether on the Weehawken and Edgewater side or the west side of Manhattan, those are where the people on their balconies see all that shit.
Look at this shit. We did issues with them when we went to the Middle East, Lieutenant Graves said. Imagine them following the war. Imagine if they were aliens and they came down to follow the war. So they see the war going on in Iraq,
how crazy
Afghanistan. They come down and they're checking it out.
Just to go on the cynical side of this, they're not necessarily saying they are an alien ship. They're saying it's a UFO, so it's something they're not sure of. What if it's some sort of awesome drone that some Middle Eastern company has and it can just follow shit or move faster or something?
Sure.
I don't know.
That would be the more likely explanation, right? Yeah. Terrestrial would be more likely that someone has advanced shit. We know they have advanced shit. I mean, we know they have incredible drones. The stuff that they can do.
Sorry, they got drones. There's the SEALs. You put razor blades on them, and they slit your fucking throat when you're driving. That's how good the technology is on those drones.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be shocked if they could do all kinds of things.
You could be standing there, and they could take the drone to just come down, and fucking they put razor blades on them or some shit.
Well, you could totally see someone having a small drone, like a small thing, like the size of a burger, that has poison in it, and you just slam it into somebody. I could see that. But you're seeing, when you're seeing stuff that's flying around the sky, most likely is made by a person. Because people make stuff. and people know how to make stuff that flies around the sky. But then when you get to shit that like defies physics, like some of the things these fighter pilots see, that's when you got to go, wait a minute. You see these extraordinary feats of traversing distances, like they can get from one place to another place so fast it looks like they disappear. This is something they all talk about. They all talk about the insane speed at which these things can go. They can just change angles. They can just go and then take a hard right angle turn. They can do stuff that nothing that we know how to make can do. That's where it gets to be like, whoa, like nothing. It's not like it's like, oh, that's like a fighter jet, but like really fast. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alien car. Oh, it's like a car, but it's way faster. Like, it's an alien car. But this is not like anything that we make. These fucking things, they fly this way, they say, flat, like a plate hovering over the ground. But when they go to fly, when they go to take off, they flip up sideways. And they have like the bottom of the spaceship is pointing towards where it wants to go. And it does something to space and time, make some sort of fucking magnetic gravity connection, insert big spooky words, whatever. They don't know how the fuck it does it, right? This thing can go like insane distances in insanely small amounts of time. Then when they all report the same kind of behavior of these, so many of these reports are like that. They're talking about this thing that goes insanely fast, turns on its side. It looks like a Tic Tac. It looks like a saucer. It looks like they're trying to figure out what the fuck the shape is because it's moving so goddamn fast. But it's doing stuff that nothing we know how to make can do. I don't know if it's from another planet. It might be from here, but it's exciting. It's exciting shit. I want it to be from another planet. That's what I want, like unbiased, like what I would love it. Just be completely honest. I would love it if it was aliens. But if it was people, I'd be even more scared because wait, goddamn, people can do that. People can do that, and no one knew. Like if you can imagine a person who can make a spaceship that defies all of the rules that we know about travel, about air travel. If they can make something that defies all that shit and somehow or another keep the whole development and production of it a secret and then have this thing and take it off and no one knows how the fuck they did it, that's almost more impressive than aliens. Because that's what these things are doing is if these pilots are accurately reading what's happening and they're telling the truth, the thing that's remarkable is their stories are very consistent. There's a lot of very similar stories from different people that they make a living flying super fast warships. They see things. They know what the fuck they're looking at. They see something they don't know. They're like, what in the fuck is that? When they see something like that, that freaks me out. That's when it gets me. Because when some fucking kid's riding his bike to school and he looks up and he sees a UFO, okay, maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen. Maybe the kid's being 100% honest. Or maybe he was bored. Maybe he was bored and decided to make up a crazy story and stuck with it. And then after a while telling it, maybe he believed it himself. That happens too. People see things. They don't know what they're seeing. And they decide that it's a different thing. I've said this before, but it's a true story. When I was in Alberta, there's wolves there. And I thought I saw a wolf for like a whole second. It was a squirrel. It was a fucking squirrel. But I saw gray fur movement wolf squirrel. Like, if you're dumb or if you're compromised or if maybe you're a little drunk, maybe you're a little tired, maybe you just saw something that looked really weird because of, whatever weather conditions that are affecting some part of the world you live in. There's things called ball lightning, flies through the air. It looks like a UFO. You ever see that shit? It's like a real natural phenomenon. Somebody might see something like that and then add a bunch of other shit to it. And that's where you get a lot of these stories. You get like natural phenomenon and then people adding a bunch of shit to things. But then on top of that, you have credible stories. And you can't throw out any of them. Like it's when you look at all these things, you can't decide just because there's a bunch of crackpot stories about UFOs that the ones by legitimate fighter pilots, that those aren't real. You can't look at it that way. It's crazy to look at it that way because it's more likely there's something out there than there isn't something out there. It's way more likely.
When I was a kid and that happened in Hudson Park, I wrote it off. I didn't even pay attention. I remember riding my bike up there, seeing the Fed tape and seeing people with those orange protective suits on.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people are fucking out of my mind. Then one night I got high 5 or 6 years ago, and I saw it. And somebody had posted on Facebook or YouTube, and I read more and more into it, and I discounted it until I read the accounts of the 28 people.
Yeah.
In that building, the liquor store, there was a guy who had just got dropped off a bus from New York. There's buses drop you off there from New York.
Mm-hmm.
The bus driver said there was a flash. He couldn't, there were just so many people with stories that, they didn't see a fucking guy get out. Only 3 people saw people get out.
Mm.
Everybody else discounted the lights and the noise and the other bullshit that went with it. I would have shit my fucking pants if I lived in that building and saw 3 little Martians get out. Or it could just be fucking, who knows? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to tell you that's where
people can get freaked out, and they can, they can think all kinds of things that didn't really happen.
Hey, one was on acid. I thought it was I thought the FBI was out there with dogs. When I went out the next day, it was fucking a fire hydrant, all right? I dumped an ounce of coke down the toilet.
Oh, my God.
Because I hallucinated. Because when you do coke for more than fucking 10 hours, you start hallucinating. I started hallucinating. I thought it was fucking dogs and it was a fire hydrant. You know how stupid I felt the next day? Pretty fucking stupid. Pretty fucking stupid. I sat there and I went over and petted the hydrant. You fuck. You fuck.
This is a problem with any story, like all these fucking UFO stories. It's people's memory. Memory's not that good. It's just not that good. It's too hard to figure out what it actually looked like after you saw it. Like you see something crazy like a year ago, and then you try to describe it. It's too hard to describe. Like you barely remember it. Your version of it is a rehashed version that you keep repeating to yourself. If you saw something, like say if you were hiking and you saw a wolf, right? If you saw that wolf, when you try to describe that moment you saw that wolf years later, like what are you actually seeing when you're going into your memory? How accurate is it? We're always lying about how accurate our memory is. It's not that good. Like if you did see a wolf, which is an extraordinary moment, right? You're in the fucking forest. You're like, it's a fucking wolf. That's a wolf. And you see a real wolf looking down on you, a wild motherfucker in the woods of Canada, just looking at you, staring at you on a trail. Like that's an extraordinary moment. But if you try to recount that in your mind 10 years later, what do you actually see? How much do you actually see? You see this blurry, weird, fucking misty version, and you've got some words that fall into place that can describe it. But how accurate is your fucking memory? It's terrible.
How accurate?
Statistics.
Okay.
Like I can tell you about fights. I can tell you what year someone fought. I can tell you how this guy won and how he beat this many guys with a triangle, and I remember things. But if I actually have to remember what it actually looked like in my head, I can't really pull that up. I barely can pull it up. If I see it, I'll recognize it again. Like you show me Joe Schilling knocking out Melvin Manhoef in Bellator. I watched that KO so many times. A wild, crazy slugfest. And if I see it, I'm watching it happen in a video. I remember it. Yep, this is how it goes. Here it goes. Boom! He KOs him. But if I had to just pull that out of my brain right now, it's not good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I have to close my eyes and pretend I saw Mike Tyson knock out Michael Spinks, I kind of can see little flashes. I can kind of remember weird little parts of it. I remember the final right hand. Boom! He just sends him flying through the ropes. It was chaos. It was just like he's the best ever. But if I had to play it back in my head, it wouldn't be nearly as good as a video of it.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I was watching TV. This happened a couple of weeks ago, and I started laughing because all that popped into my head was you when they released the footage of those UFOs. I'm like, Joe Rogan is going to talk about this the next day.
Happy. I'm so happy. I love it.
But wasn't that released a year ago?
Well, it leaked. But
was
then
leaked.
The Pentagon finally, look, in the middle of the pandemic, what a great time to just admit
there's UFOs. Because one of the things that I said on my Instagram, I was like, in any other time in history, if the government came out and said there are flying saucers that defy our understanding of propulsion and physics, the world would go crazy. But in 2020, people are like nothing.
Has it seen those pilots?
Well, I've had one of them on here.
Oh, so he's a believer.
Commander David Fravor. I had him on the podcast, and he was explaining the whole thing to me, like his experience off the coast of San Diego, running into one of these things. I mean, there's people that are debunkers, but they need to understand this is not just visual. They had very specific, like actual real data, including radar. They track these things. They use sophisticated military tracking. These are real objects. This is not like there's a lot of dummies out there that want to debunk everything. And they're just as much of a religious person as someone who's a true believer. They're a true believer that everything can be explained. Well, not everything can be explained,
No.
and these things can't be explained. When they're explaining how these things traveled at these like they went from like 6 feet off the ground to 60,000 feet in a matter of a couple of seconds. They fly in some way that these military aircraft pilots can't explain. They don't understand it, and they don't know what they are. Now, whether they're from another planet, that's never been proven. They might be interdimensional. They might be something from here. They might be some super sophisticated, top of the food chain, top secret stuff that they're exposing these people to just so they freak out and like let's see if they can get an explanation for this. Let's launch these things and have them fly past people at these preposterous rates of speed and see what the reaction is.
Do you think those type of secrets, if there are higher than the president? Do you think there's an organization that's above presidents?
100%. 100%. Here's why. Come and go. They come every 4 years. We're going to trust some dipshit who wins a popularity contest. Trump's a perfect example of that. Here's a guy who's not even a politician, lifelong businessman who wins a popularity contest, gets to be in the most powerful office, most powerful position really the world's ever known. President of the United States, commander-in-chief of the greatest army this entire planet has ever seen. You're going to tell him?
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Let me ask you this one then. What do you think about all this, the Pentagon saying that there's crafts that are coming from another world?
That's New World Order.
What do you think that is, though?
Getting people to believe in the fake alien invasion.
So what do those things are these people keep saying?
It's probably, who knows? The Nazis were scaring their people with UFOs. They made UFOs, and they were scaring people. It's like look at the timeline.
The Nazis were trying to develop some kind of an actual flying saucer,
and they were scaring people, and they were using look, we're going to save you. Look, UFOs. They were scaring them. The government's going to save you from the UFOs, right? So 1946, World War II's over. 1946-47, Operation Paperclip. That's when we took a bunch of Nazis and Russia took a bunch of Nazis. And so 1947, Roswell. Right there. Roswell was the beginning of the UFO craze. Right after Roswell, all these comic books, Mars Attacks, in the 50s, all these shitty-ass space movies and alien movies. There was Star Trek came, but Roswell kicked it off. That was the first one that kicked it off. So wow, that's 1947. That's right when we brought in all the Nazis. Who knows, man? Maybe them Nazis were like, dude, you guys aren't scaring your people with UFOs. You dumb motherfuckers, just get on it. Boom. So that Roswell, they just take some craft and then they get the people that they interview probably think it was real. Dude, it was a crash.
So you think it was an orchestrated crash just to freak people out?
I think
that
so.
seems like a money talk.
Oh, you
cover it up and hide it?
When anything too expensive? When is anything too expensive for the government?
But the official answer was never that it was a craft. The official answer was that it's a fucking weather balloon, and everybody believed that.
They
showed that.
But people that believe in UFOs, like myself and you, back in the day, I have a different view of UFOs now. But back then, we didn't care that they said the fact that they said that it's just a weather balloon. We were like, oh, dude, you guys are bullshit, and you're trying to cover up the real shit.
So they're playing 3D chess.
Exactly. So that's
So
what
you
I
think it's drones? I'm of the opinion.
drones. And you know how there was a little red laser point? You know, you fuck with your cat with that shit? You go, tsh, tsh, it's incredible speeds.
Yeah, but there's some stuff. There's some stuff
But-
like the Commander David Fravor one is pretty impossible.
For sure they're
to
seeing
deny.
stuff. For sure they're seeing stuff. Like I
Do you
think
think they're
Bob
drones?
saw some shit.
Yeah.
I think they set him up. That's what I think. I think he's telling the truth, but they set him up. That's what they do. That's what William Cooper said. He was set up too. He worked for the Office of Naval Intelligence, setting up meetings, like high-level meetings, and he said he thinks that he was setting up meetings and looking at documents, going, oh shit, they're going to be discussing crash UFO shit and reverse engineering crash UFOs. So at first he believed it. Then eventually he realized, oh, they set him up.
So they set him up so that he'll
thinks
talk
they set
about
up. He thinks they set up due to talk a lot big mouths that are drunks. That's what he thinks. They set them up and they fucking and that's what he
set
believes.
them big mouths that are drunks because they know they're going to give out the information.
And they want them to talk.
So they get in there. They let them see it. And
They go, don't go into. We'll be right
Don't
back.
tell
Don't go in that
anybody.
room. We're gonna go. And then they go in. They see like Philip Corso. Remember that guy? From the Pentagon back in the day when I was into all this shit, I would like, look, dude from the Pentagon is saying it. Of course it's got to be true. Dude, a Navy pilot is saying it. Of course, they're the most credible. You're like, but now looking back, I'm like, dude, now of course it's the dude in the Pentagon. Philip Corso said, he wrote a book the day after or something. He wrote a book about how he saw the bodies in the coffins. He saw the bodies. He goes, I was there. I saw the bodies. I mean, so either he really saw alien bodies, like he walked in a room and they were in a casket and it was an open casket or something like that. Either he really saw that or he did see it and they weren't real or something and he was set up.
Imagine
They set him up.
Fucking crazy diseases would come from an alien body. Can you imagine they would just have an alien body in a room and you could do an autopsy on it with one of those stupid masks on?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Just stop and think of that. Because think about like the Europeans that came to North America and killed 90% of the Native Americans with smallpox. Imagine what the fuck aliens have. Imagine what shit that is in there. If they're a biological creature, they probably exist like we do. We're filled with bacteria. We're filled like there's more E. coli in your gut than have ever been people ever. We're filled with this stuff. Mm-hmm. Imagine what kind of crazy diseases some alien body would have that you have no immunity to. Yeah. No, and just ravages the population and everyone's dead. And these guys just have these little stupid masks on. They're cutting into this alien.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, that's a good thing. That's the more sensitive you are, though, the more you have to consider all the possibilities, and that's what could keep you up.
Right, or send you down the UFO wormhole. Right.
We talked about that right before the podcast. Yeah, there's this guy that's coming on. His name's Dr. Robert Schock, and he's a geologist from Boston University, and he's worked on. There's some real scientists that believe it's entirely possible that the Sphinx and a lot of the construction in Egypt is far older than they think.
I know all about this.
Do you know all this?
I know all about the rain runoff and how much erosion has occurred around the base or around the pit and it absolutely couldn't have been done depending on like the way the Sphinx is built, where it's located, the siting. Yeah. Where its level is far older. So
yes, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 9,000 plus BC, because that's when back then the Nile Valley was a rainforest and somehow or another became a desert. And this guy's legit Boston University professor, geologist, and he's traveling all over the place. But he's here for some UFO conference, and the UFO people wanted him to mention the UFO conference, and I'm like, fucking Christ with UFO conferences. You guys don't have anything. If you had something, it would be, what are you going to get together in a fucking Marriott somewhere and show some blurry picture of some fucking hubcap that someone chucked up into the air? Like, there's nothing. Everything that they look at falls apart under scrutiny. There's like a few videos.
Okay, I'm going to back on
Please
this.
Please do.
Let's just say, what about, do you know the Disclosure?
Yes, Disclosure Project. Yes.
Okay, there was their first press conference when they got all the, I tend to be impressed by the military, ranking members. I'm sort of like, if you were guarding missile silos and you say you saw something hover above it and deactivate, I'm probably going to check that out a little harder. And there were just so many people that stood up, in that press conference and said that they absolutely had seen evidence, met extraterrestrials, seen the crafts, like in hangars, etc.
Yep.
And to me, they didn't look like they had that much imagination there. The kind of people that I didn't think could really. I mean, did you find that convincing at all?
No. Here's why.
No, they're just like a whole bunch of liars, a whole line of liars.
Steven, right? The Disclosure Project is
It's not
Stephen
so much
Greer's
about
thing.
him.
Yeah.
He doesn't appeal as much as the people that he brought on, who were mostly military guys.
The thing about military, anybody who's in the military is a person. If you get 100 people together, one of them's out of their fucking mind. If you get 1 million people, you've got a shit ton of people that are out of their fucking mind that are running around that want extra attention. One of the best ways to say one of the best ways to get extra attention is to say you've had some extraordinary experience that separates you from the pack. It's one of the main points of delusion that people that are really out of their fucking mind will want to point to. I see things in people. I can read auras. I can tell. I'm a psychic healer. I'm an intuitive person. They all have this thing that separates them from the herd without any work whatsoever. I feel like a lot of these people are that. They want attention. And so they tell these extraordinary stories. Now, when you said they're not creative, that's a very astute point because they all have the same fucking story. Because it's the same story that's been going on forever. They just repeat shit they've already heard. Most of these people, I think, are full of shit. I think it is entirely possible that UFOs have been here. Entirely possible that people have seen UFOs. Entirely possible. But a lot of those people, my fucking bullshit radar just goes off. Bang, 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 bang,
really?
bang, bang. Yeah. I've talked to too many of them. When I did that television show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and I met with UFO people and Bigfoot people, I was telling you before the podcast, it cured me. Because I got to be around those people for hours and just talk to them with no cameras on. I'm like, oh, you're fucking crazy, or you're delusional, or your way of looking at things is not objective, or you're talking to me because you want to convince me of something. You're not just communicating the ideas that are actually in your head. You're pitching me some sort of a speech. You're like, you've got some sort of a performance you're doing for me.
Oh,
and I smell it. And as a performer, I smell it. I'm like, this is nonsense. You're telling me nonsense. They would tell, well, you want evidence? I'll back a truck up and show you the evidence. I'm like, where's your fucking evidence? You don't have any evidence.
You should have brought it today. I mean,
exactly.
Here's the thing. Did they seem off kilter in everything else they talked about?
Yes.
Okay, so they
everything.
did. That
Relationships, jobs, they're all screwballs. They're almost all screwballs. The people that are most convincing are people that see these orbs flying around.
The pilots.
Yeah. Well, the reason why they see these things is there's a real phenomenon called ball lightning. It's absolutely real. And it's caused by various weather conditions, and they think that it can even be caused sometimes by the right weather conditions and the shifting of tectonic plates, that somehow or another the friction. Yes, and that these ball lightning, if you've ever seen videos of it, it's phenomenal. It just flies around. They've even had it inside airplanes. Somehow or another, ball lightning has shot down the aisle of an airplane while it was in flight.
I've actually seen it.
Have you really?
I've actually seen
Where have you
ball
seen it?
lightning on a flight that was struck by lightning.
Whoa.
It was pink. And it sounded like a giant BB gun hit a tin can. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, you were in a plane that was hit by lightning? Holy shit. That's intense.
When I saw Gleason, Gleason was what I wanted to be. I just thought Jackie Gleason was just amazing, and I want to be like that guy, because he was incredible. And it was, people didn't realize he was a stand-up,
I didn't know Gleason did stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
2-ton Tony Galenta was giving him shit. And
the boxer.
And Gleason heckled him, and Tony knocked him out.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. He was incredible, because I met Art Carney.
Jackie was obsessed with UFOs. Did you know that?
Nah, but I kind of dig it too, man.
There's a story. This guy told it to me. Some guy was a rock band dude. He told me the story, and I don't know if it's true. But the story was that Gleason was friends with Nixon, and Nixon said, "You want to see some shit?" And Nixon took him to
Area 51.
I don't think it was Area 51. I think it was Hangar 18, which is a Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and I think it was outside of Columbus, Ohio. And they supposedly had some fucking crashed UFO there. And Gleason built a replica of it, or had a replica of it built in his fucking backyard in New York.
Wow.
They went to the Homestead Air Force Base outside of Miami, it says.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I got a bullshit version of it. Pull up the actual version. Where are you getting this from?
I just Googled it. I mean, it's a rumored story, so I don't know if it's...
Yeah, that's how I got it. I got it from a guy in a band. It might be bullshit, but he gave me some book on UFOs. He was telling me about this, but that Jackie Gleason apparently was obsessed with UFOs.
Well, I believe there's got to be something out there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. We're it. I mean, that's it.
No,
right?
I don't believe we're it.
I did a lot of USO shows, and I've been around the world, and I was every time I've done. I was off the coast of Turkey someplace, and the commander of the base took me out for dinner afterwards, and I got him drunk. I got him pretty drunk. I was sober at the time. I got him pretty drunk, and I said, "Hey, man," he goes, "Let me ask you about Area 51." He goes. Got stone sober. He goes, this conversation never happened. And he left. And I had to take a cab to find my way back to a nuke base that no one knows about.
Jesus.
Right? So then I'm at the dunes. This is how long ago that was. And I'm with these guys who are in the Air Force. And they said, man, we really like your show. We're fans of yours. But I got them drunk. And I said, hey, man, what about Area 51? And they said, Mr. Clark, good night. And they walked away. So now... me and Mike are golfing with these Blue Angels. And he goes, you're going to ask him? I go, no. The second year, we golf with them again. I go, all right, fellas, tell me about Area 51. They go, well, he goes, I was flying a plane, and I had malfunction, and I had to land there. And they came out, and they pretty much blindfolded me, took me into a building, and they fixed my jet within 35 minutes. And then put me back in the place. You were never here. And I went, oh, my God. So I don't know what's out there.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That was an area where they were testing all sorts of military equipment. They were testing different new, like that's where the B-2 or the stealth bomber,
right?
They were testing that there.
And the spy plane.
Yeah, they were testing shit.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of secret stuff there.
Right.
Didn't necessarily have to be aliens.
I understand that. And I'm hoping that there is.
But he's still trying to
But I'd love to go there, man. Oh, man. But you can't even drive. If you drive up there, Joe, by the time you get your camera out, they're on you.
Yeah.
And tell you, get out of here. We'll lock you up. You know, it's not good. So
they don't even anymore. They've moved to a new area. They've actually, because it's so heavily scrutinized and because of Google Earth and all sorts of different ways you can see things, they've actually moved to another area.
Well, I read everything I can find about that too, and I think I read the book Area 51. It was 2 years ago, and basically at the end of the book, it was like Hitler had these, his guys experimenting with the Jews and put their arms on different ways, and had an aircraft that looked like a spaceship, and it crashed. And these people came out with them crazy arms. Well, they're aliens, and that was in the book, So that kind of shut the shit out of that.
I know that Hitler did experiment with some sort of disc type air vehicle. They did, but I don't know if they ever got it off the ground or what the deal was. But the most interesting story is the story of Bob Lazar, who was a guy who worked at Area 51, and he got fired because his wife was cheating on him. And they were recording all of his phone calls and taping all of his conversations, and they found out that his wife was cheating on him. They thought that he was going to be emotionally unstable. And so they didn't tell him why. They just released him. And so then he brings friends to watch these, what he said were alien crafts that they were experimenting with, and they were flying these things around that had some super advanced propulsion system that they were asking him to help back engineer, and he brought friends to do that, and then they got arrested for doing that. And when he did that, then he started talking about it. So he's been discredited by a bunch of people, but I don't know who's telling the truth. He says that they wiped his college record so that no one, but people said they went to school with him, and he definitely did work for the government, but under what capacity, who knows. But his story's fascinating, and I want it to be true. You hear it, you want it to be true.
Joe, they used to fly the team of people that worked at Area 51 from Burbank.
Yeah.
Every day, fly them in, they'd work, and then fly them back. It's like they didn't stay over.
Well, there was that airport outside of Vegas. It was right outside like where the Riviera was.
Yeah.
You could actually look out and see the airport. And they would fly the people from there in these unmarked jets.
Yeah, I want it to be true.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Well, that's a good thing. That's like the more sensitive you are, though, the more you have to consider all the possibilities, and that's what could keep you up.
Right, or send you down the UFO wormhole. Right.
We talked about that right before the podcast. Yeah, there's this guy that's coming on. His name's Dr. Robert Schoch, and he's a geologist from Boston University, and he's worked on. There's some real scientists that believe it's entirely possible that the Sphinx and a lot of the construction in Egypt is far older than they think.
I know all about this.
Do you know all this?
I know all about the rain runoff and how much erosion has occurred around the base or around the pit and it absolutely couldn't have been done, depending on like the way the Sphinx is built, where it's located, the siting, where its level is far older. So
yes, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 9,000 plus BC, because that's when back then the Nile Valley was a rainforest and somehow or another became a desert. And this guy's legit Boston University professor, geologist. And he's traveling all over the place, but he's here for some UFO conference, and the UFO people wanted him to mention the UFO conference, and I'm like, fucking Christ with UFO conferences. You guys don't have anything. If you had something, it would be, what are you going to get together in a fucking Marriott somewhere and show some blurry picture of some fucking hubcap that someone chucked up into the air? Like, there's nothing. Everything that they look at falls apart under scrutiny. There's like a few videos.
Okay, I'm going to back on
Please
this.
Please do.
Let's just say, what about, do you know the Disclosure?
Yes, Disclosure Project. Yes.
Okay, there was their first press conference when they got all the, I tend to be impressed by the military, ranking members. I'm sort of like, if you were guarding missile silos and you say you saw something hover above it and deactivate, I'm probably going to check that out a little harder. And there were just so many people that stood up, in that press conference and said that they absolutely had seen evidence, met extraterrestrials, seen the crafts, like in hangars, etc.
Yep.
And to me, like they didn't look like they had that much imagination. They're the kind of people that I didn't think could really. I mean, did you find that convincing at all?
No. Here's why.
No. They're just like a whole bunch of liars, a whole line of liars.
Steven, right? The Disclosure Project is Stephen
Greer's thing.
It's
not so much about him. Yeah. He doesn't appeal as much as the people that he brought on, who were mostly military guys.
The thing about military, anybody who's in the military is a person. If you get 100 people together, one of them's out of their fucking mind. If you get 1 million people, you've got a shit ton of people that are out of their fucking mind that are running around that want extra attention. One of the best ways to say one of the best ways to get extra attention is to say you've had some extraordinary experience that separates you from the pack. It's one of the main points of delusion that people that are really out of their fucking mind will want to point to. I see things in people. I can read auras. I can tell. I'm a psychic healer. I'm an intuitive person. They all have this thing that separates them from the herd without any work whatsoever. I feel like a lot of these people are that. They want attention. And so they tell these extraordinary stories. Now, when you said they're not creative, that's a very astute point, because they all have the same fucking story. Because it's the same story that's been going on forever. They just repeat shit they've already heard. Most of these people, I think, are full of shit. I think it is entirely possible that UFOs have been here. Entirely possible that people have seen UFOs. Entirely possible. But a lot of those people, my fucking bullshit radar just goes off. Bang, 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 bang,
really?
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. I've talked to too many of them. When I did that television show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and I met with UFO people and Bigfoot people, I was telling you before the podcast, it cured me. Because I got to be around those people for hours and just talk to them with no cameras on. I'm like, oh, you're fucking crazy, or you're delusional, or your way of looking at things is not objective, or you're talking to me because you want to convince me of something. You're not just communicating the ideas that are actually in your head. You're pitching me some sort of a speech. You're like, you've got some sort of a performance you're doing for me.
Oh,
and I smell it. And as a performer, I smell it. I'm like, this is nonsense. You're telling me nonsense. You know, they would tell, well, you want evidence? I'll back a truck up and show you the evidence. I'm like, where's your fucking evidence? You don't have any
evidence. You should have brought
evidence.
it today. I mean, like, well,
exactly.
Here's the thing. Did they seem off kilter in everything else they talked about?
Yes.
Okay, so they
everything.
did. That
Relationships, jobs, they're all screwballs. They're almost all screwballs. The people that are most convincing are the people that see these orbs flying around.
The pilots.
Yeah. Well, the reason why they see these things is there's a real phenomenon called ball lightning. It's absolutely real. And it's caused by various weather conditions. And they think that it can even be caused sometimes by the right weather conditions and the shifting of tectonic plates, that somehow or another the friction. Yes. And that these ball lightning, if you've ever seen videos of it, it's phenomenal. It just flies around. They've even had it inside airplanes. Somehow or another, ball lightning has shot down the aisle of an airplane while it was in flight.
I've actually seen it.
Have you really?
I've actually
Where have
seen
you
ball
seen it?
lightning on a flight that was struck by lightning.
Whoa.
It was pink. And it sounded like a giant BB gun hit a tin can. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, you were in a plane that was hit by lightning? Holy shit. That's intense.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Kyle Kalinske sent me something I wanted you to see, Jamie. It's there's some shit going down with UFO sightings.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I've been before.
Well, yeah,
I
but
don't know that they were new.
Here, I'll send it to you.
I've been following this stuff.
Yeah, it's hold on a second, Jamie.
This thing.
All right, I just texted it to you. Pentagon officially releases UFO. This is the tweet. It says, new Pentagon formally released 3 mysterious UFO videos captured by Navy pilots. The already leaked videos showed what DoD insists on calling unidentified aerial phenomenon, moving at incredible speeds and performing near impossible maneuvers. This is a weird subject because it's one of those subjects where people automatically dismiss it because it's been so touted by kooks. There's so many wacky fucks that have talked about UFOs that anybody talking about UFOs has to be out of their fucking mind. But then when you see these videos and you see them performing these possible tasks, like these things are moving in a way that we've never seen anything move before, flipping upside down and sideways, moving at insane rates of speed. Like, they don't know what these are.
Yeah.
Real phenomena.
What's interesting, though, is I was reading one of these stories, and they passively mentioned that the sighting was near a U.S. naval technology station of some sort, like a top secret development. And I'm like,
that could be one of two. It's either it's developed by the people that are at that base, or they're monitoring the people that are at that base. These aircraft, we call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory nor any foreign inventory that we are aware of. Maybe they see this shit that's going down with China and all the ships being moved and like, listen, you fuckheads.
The aliens?
Yeah. Maybe they're like, listen, you fucking morons, you territorial apes.
I'd like to think that, but...
You don't think so?
Manhattan Project, man. I mean, the U.S. has got some crazy motherfucking weapons. You know?
Could be, but the Manhattan Project was also, coincidentally, right after they started detonating bombs when the aliens started showing up.
That's what they think, right?
Yeah, well, that was when the bulk of U.S. sightings started jumping. And wide, I believe, too.
You know, maybe we've slowly been getting more and more information about this. I've been actually reading a lot of these stories over the past several months. More admissions from government, more release of documents, and more sightings. So there's been a big, I don't want to call it, well, a lot of people murmuring that April was going to be the month when we finally learn the truth.
It's almost up.
It's almost up.
We got like a few days.
Nah, man.
The 27th?
You know what I used...
more days is left.
Do you know...
30?
Do you know about what happened? Do you know about the O'Hare Airport sighting?
Which one's that?
So this was, I think, in like 2006 at Chicago's International O'Hare. A UFO came down and hovered above, I can't remember which terminal it was. It hovered for a few minutes, I think, and then shot straight, punched a hole in the clouds. Everybody saw it happen. Now, I had just quit working at O'Hare around this time when the sighting happened, so I had friends who were still there. I had a friend tell me that when this UFO came down, people on Mannheim Road, which is the road on the side of O'Hare, got out of their cars, like just stopped the light, got up, and were looking and staring at it and that the people who are working where we worked for American Eagle Airlines, walked out of the rooms and were just staring at it float and then shoot up and punch a hole in the clouds. And you know what they said? Weather phenomenon. So there's a photo of it. A pilot took a photo of it. This is back when like very early phone cameras, so it's a very grainy, awful picture.
There it is right there.
That's not it. No, that's super fake. I think no. These are all people trying to fake it. It's really hard to find. That one is not. That one might be it, but I don't think so. It barely looks like
Chicago
anything.
O'Hare UFO sighting 2006. Is that it right there?
I do not believe those are it. No. So
click on that article. See what it says, Jamie.
That's just some blog.
That one might be on the left, but so many people try exploiting this stuff for clicks and for views, and they make these fake photos. And
that link's not working?
I've clicked on it a few times.
It was a very, very faint photo from the cockpit. It might be that one right there in the middle. On the left side.
Far left.
It might be that one. No, that's not it. That's not it. Well, there was a really crappy photo of it. And
that might be it.
That might be. It was out of the cockpit of a window. A pilot took a photo. And, I wonder, where have all the sightings gone since phones became ubiquitous? I mean, there's a simple, I guess, excuse. The aliens, they're sentient. They know we have phones. They're like, okay, stop, decloaking or whatever. But I wonder if, why is it there were so many UFOs and then around the time cell phone cameras come out, they're gone?
Well, I think most people are full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people like to pretend they see things that don't really see things, but I don't think that excludes the possibility. It's not like it's not like these things are mutually exclusive. Like people are full of shit, therefore aliens don't exist. I think aliens could be real and people are full of shit, and I think that it's very rare that they visit us. But if they do, how often do scientists go to the Congo to study chimps? I mean, how many people do they send to the bottom of the ocean to look for new life forms? How rare is it?
Let me trip you out on that idea. We put decoys up for animals. Animals can't tell the difference. What if you've actually met a decoy person and you couldn't tell the difference?
Maybe it's you, bro.
Maybe it's me. That's right.
And that's why you're able to work so much.
Oh, yeah, I'm a robot.
You don't get tired.
No.
So it's news, disseminating factual evidence.
Because what I'm actually doing is collecting a data for the aliens. No, but I thought about this because I saw a photo on Reddit of a puffin, I think it's called, the bird, and they put up a fake puffin, and it's because I think they're called puffins. It's because the birds don't like nesting in places where they're alone, and so by putting the decoy there, the other birds would start coming, and like one bird showed up and was hanging out with the decoy, and I'm like, could you imagine you see we put duck decoys in the water, we do duck calls, and the duck's like, ooh, hey, fly honey, I'm gonna come over and check this out, and it's like a wood block. Could you imagine seeing a beautiful woman or someone you're attracted to and being like, "Ooh, look at that!" And it's really like an alien decoy just to probe you and better understand you or something.
Well, the decoy, just the term decoy is weird because decoys are used for hunting. Like turkey, it's turkey season right now.
Yeah.
And the way most guys hunt for turkeys, they take a rubber turkey, you put that fucker out in the middle of the field, and then you hide behind a bush with a shotgun. And you go, bark, 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 bark. And then the turkeys hear it, and they come over and they try to get some pussy, and then they get shot.
So what if you see some dude or see it for you? It'd probably be a beautiful woman. You want to get that pussy, and and then she's going like, hey, come over here, and you're like, oh, hey, me, and
then I get eaten.
No, they just take you up in the ship, probe you, and learn about your butt.
This is putting things up your butt. Most doctors don't even do that. Like they have MRIs now. Do you think aliens need to probe you in your ass? I think it's just what everyone's afraid of. They're afraid of things going in their ass. So that's what they think is going to happen if the aliens get them. They're going to freeze me and touch my ass.
Somebody told the dumb back in the day, and it was the most sensational version. Everybody had to have it, so they were like, that's what they went with.
Maybe they do that to keep your mouth shut. They fuck you in the ass just so you keep your mouth shut.
Or some dude actually did, right?
Yeah.
And he comes back and he's like, they think they won against me. They think they beat me. They put stuff up my butt. They're weirdos.
Do you ever hear the story of Betty and Barney Hill? It's the very first UFO abduction story. It's an ancient story. And what's crazy is Angela Hill, who's a UFC fighter, I had her on the podcast. And after the show, she told me her grandpa was Barney Hill.
Whoa.
And I was like, holy fuck. We didn't talk about it during the show, but she wanted to bring it up because she knows I'm kind of obsessed with UFOs. But the account that they have, they get hypnotized and he's recalling the abduction and they have the same story. It's very terrifying. You hear him crying and screaming, and you know that he was taken aboard this craft and examined and brought back, and they have missing time. But here's the thing: if they only did that occasionally, if they only came down once every few years and just scooped some person up in the middle of some rural place, like if you're flying over, you know, I think their instance was I believe it was in Maine. If you're flying over somewhere like Maine, which is a very low population state, and you see a lone car, and it's just traveling along the highway, and there's places in Maine where you go from like Portland to Bangor. When you're traveling on that road, it's like 60 miles with nothing, not a gas station, nothing. If you were an alien and you saw a car by itself, you're like, no other car, let's move in, we got one.
Isn't it just easy to think it's the U.S. government?
No.
Why not?
Because we don't have the capability of doing something like that. I don't think the capability of the scientists working for the government is any different than the capability of the scientists that are working for, you know, Project X or, you know, fill in the blanks in terms of like what Raytheon, publicly traded companies.
How long? Look, quadcopters don't seem all that complicated to me. Right?
Quadcopters.
Yeah, like
helicopters,
like drones. You know, we've seen the little drone toys you buy. They got 4 propellers. Take that concept, use thinner, you know, jets, and surround it in a disc so that it's, you know, universally, like it can move in any direction because it's got, you know, because it's
what
omnidirectional.
power source? A gas tank.
Well, lithium-ion battery. Or
come on, man. You're talking shit. Like this hasn't even been invented yet. Think about how little mileage you can get out of a Tesla.
You know,
as advanced as Tesla is, you know, still when it's going full out, it can only go for. I mean, you get 307 miles if you drive like a grandma, but if you drive like a maniac, you don't even get half that.
You know, I could be wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure that they had this flying platform in the 70s that uses gas power. They've also had jetpacks for a long time.
No, they've sort of. They've had jetpacks that are capable of going for like 30 seconds. They don't. I've experienced.
No. I'm pretty sure the jetpack in the day went for a long time.
No, they definitely didn't.
We can look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up because they definitely didn't. The whole thing was the fact they were burning gas, and to propel you in the air, they only had a certain amount.
I thought it was like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Maybe now.
My understanding why we abandoned jetpack technology was that it was inefficient and heavy, and you couldn't carry it without it being turned on. So they opted for larger, like, you know, like what are they called? Chinooks, helicopters that can carry multiple people at once. When you're wearing a jetpack, it has to be on idle, negating its own weight, which means it's burning as you're walking around, which means you get a good 20-minute jump and you got to abandon the tech. And then you don't want your enemies to get it.
Have you ever seen a guy with a jetpack?
Yeah, there's a video on YouTube.
No, I mean in real life.
Oh, I've seen that one guy, man, dude.
Well,
not in real life.
I've been there in real life. Willie B from in Denver on the radio.
Yeah.
He had a radio show in the morning. I used to do his radio show. I think he still has a radio show. Shout out to Willie. And he had this guy who was a jetpack pilot who came in and in the parking lot of the radio studio, and you know, fans of the radio show came and did it too and watched it rather. And this guy flew in the air for about 15, 20 seconds and then landed. This guy was so banged up. Both of his legs were blown apart. He had big braces on both of his knees. I'm like, what happened to your knees? He's like, just crash landing. Both my knees are blown to shit. He had no ACLs in either one of his knees. But
well, that's what I'm saying.
It's good for, this is Ben. It was good for about 30 seconds. 30 seconds of flying.
Well, so what I'm trying to get to is if you take something like a quadcopter, you could absolutely fuel it with you know, gas or
whatever.
It'd
be loud as fuck.
But it would depending on how you mitigate the noise.
It'd be an engine. Yeah. It'd be loud as fuck.
And you'd hear from the quad rotors.
Yeah, but what these people are describing is nothing like that. These people are describing things that are silent, that go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in a split second, things that defy physics as we understand them. Yeah. This is not something that I think that the U.S. government has. If you look at like Elon Musk's company, Project X or SpaceX. SpaceX is right now one of the premier civilian companies, private companies that's making rocket ships. They fuck up all the time.
Totally.
They're in the middle of innovating all the time. He's one of the smartest people on earth. He's one of in terms of technology, he knows as much about propulsion as anyone, and they still can't get it right. They're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to come up with something that could be viable in terms of commercial space flight, and they're working on it daily. And these people are the brightest minds we know of right now that are in this jet propulsion, space travel business. There's, Virgin's working on something. There's a couple other companies that are working on things as well. And then you have NASA, which worked. The best they could come up with was the space shuttle.
Right.
Do you think that there was something way better than space shuttle that they just never used, and that they had, and they kept it on the back burner, didn't want to let anybody know? But the way they would use it is they would pick people up and erase their memory and toy with their asshole. That's crazy.
Well,
that's less likely than the hundreds of billions of galaxies, just in our own known universe, right? Each one with hundreds of billions of stars. Each star with who knows how many fucking planets. That's somewhere out there that's something more advanced than us. Maybe 1,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years. But that's figured out how to come here.
I got the same question then. Why hasn't anyone discovered them? Why has SETI failed? Search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Why haven't they invented guns?
They've more tools, but
right. Why haven't they invented guns though?
I don't know.
Hasn't SETI found UFOs? It's the same fucking answer. They're not advanced enough yet. It's a real simple answer. The industrial age is pretty fucking recent.
Right.
I mean, you think about when people invented cars. You're talking about 1800. That's really recent.
And we've
plane
only used
flights 1800s.
High power radio transmission is only in the past 100 years or so.
Right. Well, you saw the movie Contact.
It's an old one, right?
It's Juster and Matthew McConaughey. It's based on Carl Sagan's book about contact with space and with aliens, how it's going to go down.
I think I did see it recently. I can't remember.
Interesting take on it. But the idea is that they've received the signal that we sent out way, way back, in the day, actually when the first broadcast signal was Hitler announcing the Olympic Games, the start of the Berlin Games. And this was the first signal they got. It was a really controversial moment in the movie, or controversy, in the plot, with that once they were trying to decipher the image that was being sent, they realized it was Hitler.
Yeah.
The first thing they see is a swastika, and they're like, what the fuck is this?
They sent it back to us?
And then they had to realize, oh, no, this is the first image that we sent out to space. They wouldn't be able to understand the political or historical context of this. And
well, so I got a few, there's a few I see in terms of aliens and Earth contact, right? We are substantially more connected, in an evolutionary chain to ants than we are to any alien. So we can't communicate with them for the most part. We kind of can. We understand how they communicate. But when an ant sees a superhighway, this is someone else's quote, they don't think twice. So it's possible there are aliens that have superhighways right above us. We can't tell what it is. Same as a dog doesn't understand other than stay away from it. But one of the issues I think is often neglected in the conversation about aliens is the we assume aliens would be on a very similar planet to us. We assume that they would have some kind of gaseous atmosphere, perhaps it's a liquid atmosphere. And one of the things that I would ask of a researcher, because I'm not the expert, is the fact that we have the proper balance of oxygen in the atmosphere to manipulate fire, which allows us to separate elements and then create computers and components and fuels, wouldn't exist on a planet without the same atmosphere we existed in.
Okay, stop. I can answer that easily.
Yeah.
There's no known propulsion system for any of these crafts. These things are not using fire. They don't have a heat signal. They don't know what they are. They don't know how they work.
I don't mean propulsion. I mean the separation of elements, the manipulation of elements, right? So we melt things and separate them and break them down.
They don't believe that that's how it works.
No, but I mean, how do you even start from? I'm sure there's an answer. Let's say you have a species that lives on a planet with no oxygen and has no access to fire. What energy, what dense energy source do they have that will allow them to manipulate matter?
Do you know the Bob Lazar story?
I do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that he talked about when he first stopped working for Area S4 and the government was tapping his phones, and there's a lot that can be documented about him. There's a lot that can't be. But one of the things that he talked about was a thing called element 115.
Right.
That element 115 is this insanely dense element that they use to bend gravity. And that the way he described the way the propulsion system works, it's like putting a bowling ball in the center of a very soft mattress, and that all of the other mattress, all the rest of the mass of the mattress bends around the intense mass of the bowling ball, and that this is how these incredibly advanced aliens from this other planet this is their propulsion system.
That was
they
from
use this.
From Star. The concept of warp was around for a really long time.
I think the concept is based on Einstein's theory of gravity. I mean, this is the whole idea. If you could find something that could do that. But here's the thing. When Bob Lazar talked about this in the late 80s, early 90s, this element didn't exist.
Right, now it does.
It wasn't proven until they did it in a particle collider. I believe it was 2013. So he was talking about this element far before it was, and he's apparently, this is the big rumor, he apparently had taken some of that from a lab and through George Norrie, and was it George Norrie? Yes. They did some experiments on on television and showed that this stuff had made light and fog bend in a way that they couldn't describe.
He also didn't he also claim this small alien creature on his way out?
He said he saw something sitting down, but he doesn't know if it was a model that they were using, like if they had created something that was supposed to be the size of a thing that could fit in these crafts, because these crafts, he said, were designed for things that were far smaller than human beings.
I'm pretty initial interview he gave when he went public was that he saw an alien, and then later on changed it, saying, I don't know if it was maybe a model or a puppet.
Yeah, he thought he saw something sitting down and two people standing over it looking at it. He said he thought he saw an alien.
You know,
but he's probably, I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, he said it was literally for like a half a second. Like he's walking by a window and he sees something inside of it. Imagine being a guy who's in your 20s and you're a propulsions expert, and it's been proven that he worked at Los Alamos Labs, and it's been proven that he did put a fucking jet engine. It's been proven that he did put a jet engine on a Honda. I mean, he's a genius. He's and you talk to him, he's an incredibly smart guy. Now imagine you get sent off to Area S4, and they show you this thing that you know doesn't even exist, and they tell you about this propulsion method that they don't understand, and they say that they found this a long time ago in an archaeological dig, and they want you to back engineer it because you're a propulsions expert, and they're running out of options. They've been studying this for decades. No one knows what the fuck it is or how you can make it work. And then they do test flights with this thing. And then he tells his friends about these test flights. After he gets fired, you know how he got fired? Do you know a story about him getting fired?
He leaked it or something, yeah?
No, his wife was fucking her flight instructor.
Oh.
And so when his wife was fucking her flight instructor, they told him he couldn't work anymore. And he's like, why not? Well, they were tapping his phone because when you have top secret clearance to work on UFOs, I guess they don't want your wife fucking her flight instructor, because then you're going to go crazy, and you have a lot of imbalance at home, right? So he doesn't know why. They don't tell him why. So he takes his friends and he tells them, listen, this is real. They're running these experiments. I know you're thinking I'm crazy. This is what I've been working on. So he takes them to this area where you used to be able to have access to, but once he did this, they closed off access and pushed it far back to where the public has access to. And he showed them these things doing these impossible maneuvers in the desert, in the night sky.
This I remember.
And so then he gets arrested. And so when he gets arrested, he was in fear of his own life. He goes public and tells this whole story. And then they erase his past. They erase his social security number. They erase his education background. Even though people that knew him and knew he worked at Los Alamos Labs, he takes George Norrie of a tour of Los Alamos Labs, knows the people that work there. They all say hi to him. He takes them on a tour around the laboratory. Shows them around, shows them the devices they use for biometric security. And
I think the one thing you can't ignore is that there was documentation that he did work at one of these places.
Yes.
And they later claimed he didn't.
Yes.
And like I think I was watching the thing on, maybe it was Netflix. I think like he promoted that, right? It was on Netflix. They show the paper like we found it.
Yes.
Like he clearly was there.
He was in the employee registry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No.
But you know, for me, man, I'd love to believe it all.
He's been insanely consistent about that story.
Yeah.
For 40 years.
I want to believe. You know what I mean?
For 30 years, whatever it's been. I want to believe too. That's the problem.
Man, Pixar didn't happen.
I want to believe, but that's nonsense. Pixar, it didn't happen is nonsense.
Well,
how do you what about Neanderthals?
No, that's
what dinosaurs. There's no pics.
I'm more so joking, right? What I mean is, show me the evidence, right?
I get it.
Let's, the challenge with any theory. I don't like saying conspiracy theory because they're not always conspiracies. Is that people want something to be true. And so they end up looking for things to justify what they think it already is.
Of course.
Instead of starting with what you've got and trying to figure out where it goes from there.
But when you start with what you've got a guy who was living in Vegas, was taking these flights out to Area S4, knows the place, knows it inside out, can describe it very accurately, also worked at Los Alamos
this
Labs,
proves he was
describes
there.
that very accurately.
Right.
Yeah,
it proves he worked there.
It
But
also proves he's a legitimate scientist.
But what
I mean, when you talk to the guy, he's a brilliant guy. He's not a nut.
Right.
But what?
Are you aliens?
That doesn't mean
so.
It doesn't mean aliens, but that's what he was told.
Right.
What he was told is this is something that has come from somewhere else, and they're trying to figure out how to work it, how to use it.
What if we're in a simulation, and this was something that was leftover code, or it wasn't supposed to be placed in this certain iteration?
Or there's multiple dimensions that we don't have access to, and that these things do.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What I find more interesting is what's happening now with the government study that started here at Skinwalker Ranch, OSAP, the one that was in the New York Times, and where the information is going now. These are new times. Things are starting to drop to the public.
And what is starting to drop?
Well, so the Skinwalker story, lack of physical evidence though there may be, comes to the attention of the Defense Intelligence Agency. This guy, this scientist who sees it, he goes to Bigelow, they go visit the property, he looks around, he has an experience. He's not there 15 or 20 minutes and something appears inside a house that only he can see. He doesn't say anything about it. He goes back to Washington, meets with Harry Reid in a skiff in the Capitol and 2 other U.S. senators. He presents them the proposal for a study of UFOs and related phenomena, not just like ATIP, looking at flying saucers that encounter a U.S. military, but something more expansive. They put out a contract. Bigelow bids on it, creates an organization called BASS, again, puts together a team of experts, 50 or 60 employees, and they start studying it. They go around the world. They interact with other governments. They get their files. They send out teams to hotspots to try to figure it out, looking at whether there are connections between what we'd call flying saucers, possible aliens, and all these other different phenomena. The program goes on for a couple of years, and somebody yanks the funding. And get this, the reason that the DIA suddenly became worried about all this weirdness that was being reported at Skinwalker and elsewhere is because they thought it was demonic. And they thought, if this comes out that we're studying this weird phenomena, A, it's going to end up on the front page of the New York Times, which it did, and B, we might be invoking Satan in here. These were fundamentalist Christians in the Pentagon who pulled the money because they thought it was the devil. Making that up.
That's hilarious.
And the program it now continues. They keep reporting that it stopped. It hasn't stopped. The U.S. military has been studying UFOs since the beginning in every branch of our military. They continue to do so. And now every time they get caught in a lie, so it is continuing. Tell them about it.
It is continuing. OSAP's money was taken away, but the ATIP program, which is what Lou Elizondo headed up, that looked just at military UFO encounters, continued. Pentagon says it was ended. It did not. It continued for a couple of years, and after the New York Times story comes out and creates this furor, it got funding. And it now has a structured organization, and it is looking into cases where the U.S. military sees these things. And off the coast of Virginia, they've been seeing this stuff. I think Fravor talked about it when he was here, these beach balls with cubes inside of them. And they were sitting there for hours off the coast, right where our warplanes would go out for training exercises, as if they wanted to be seen. And it went on. There were 70 or 80 witnesses during 2015, 2016, pilots. Some of them were willing to talk about it, some weren't. It continues to this day. Now the program is on more solid footing. Now Congress has been informed, and they want to expand it and get more information. We are told the New York Times is working on another follow-up story to look into reports of what Lazar said, crash retrievals, reverse engineering, the existence of these metamaterials, bits and pieces that Grandpa had stashed in a barn somewhere, whether it's Roswell or other alleged crashes. They're taking it seriously to figure out if there's something about these materials that we could not have created. So the BASS program, the OSAP program, created a baseline of what we know about the state of our technology right now in different disciplines. Lift and propulsion, things of that sort. They commissioned 38 papers that would be the baseline for what the state of human knowledge was in 2009, and those papers were published on an internal Department of Defense website, but they've never been made public. 6 of them have now leaked out, and I brought along 2 more for you that have not been made public.
So these are scientific reports based on the government study of UFOs. Okay, so they commissioned these papers. Only a handful have been released to the public. George happens to have
a couple
few
more. So you can be the first person outside of the program other than me to see it. This is a Defense Intelligence Reference Document. This paper is on metamaterials. So how you could engineer existing Earth materials where you could duplicate what you're seeing up there. None of these papers, two of them actually, mention aliens or UFOs. They're strictly on what the state of our knowledge is or was as of 2009.
And they reference aliens and UFOs?
Only two of the papers do.
And how do they reference them?
Well, there's one of the papers that looks at the physical effects of people that come into contact with these unknown craft. And it's sort of like the effects of radiation or microwaves. There are physical effects, hundreds of cases that have been investigated, and that's what that paper looks at. And that's already out there.
Yeah, the harm that is done to the body, what they call close proximity to a UAP, which is a UFO. There are known effects to the human body that are horrible, and there was a study that focused on the witnesses they do know had close encounters, like military people, and then how it negatively impacted their body. So each of these reports, as he obtains them or as people find them, they're very illuminating to what our government knows.
There was one that looked at you would track a hypersonic vehicle traveling through space. How difficult would it be? Now, it doesn't say UFOs, but it's looking at things that really travel fast that are coming in from space into our atmosphere. How would you track that? Now, when that paper was written in 2009, we didn't have hypersonic weapons. Now, the Russians claim they've got them. And now it's very timely because we're in a rush to develop those things. So that was one of the papers that I made public last year, and I interviewed the engineering professor who wrote it. He wasn't writing about UFOs. He was writing about the state of knowledge about hypersonic weapon systems back then. It's a similar thing for metamaterials. That's what this paper is how would you engineer materials so you could travel through space that would have, say you shoot it with microwaves, and it could develop certain special properties.
And
so
just to put into context, maybe, because, here's the deal. Our government has now admitted there are UFOs. That's the world we're living in. They're unidentified objects or craft that seem to outmaneuver, actively jam our radar systems, even go over our military installations of high sensitivity. There are incursions. All of this is now said. It's a different world we're living in. However, the next thing that people are talking about now is, well, we also have materials. We'll call them metamaterials. Materials associated with UFO craft. They might even go as far as to say we have whole materials, craft, from somewhere else.
So when they're saying we have materials associated from crafts, are they saying that they have a crash?
Yes.
Yes.
Hal Puthoff, who was a physicist who worked with Bigelow on both NIDS and BASS, made a presentation in Las Vegas in June of 2018 where he says, yeah, we've got these materials and we're trying to figure out where they came from and how they were engineered, because some of them appear to be multi-layered that are beyond what is known engineering capabilities of humans. It looks like they would have had to have been made in, say, zero gravity of space, and we don't have any manufacturing plants up there. He implied that they came from crashes. Doesn't mean it's a UFO from Zeta Reticuli. It's crashed from somewhere, and we don't know whose it is. So they're trying to figure out whether we can duplicate it or not. And they got a bunch of samples. And
have you seen any of this?
I haven't seen it. Bigelow and Hal have.
Have you?
I've seen what people claim. So the Army now has these metamaterials that were famously put in through the Coast to Coast show. Right. It was called Art's Parts. I told you this last time. I was able to obtain them briefly and have 5 scientists from New Mexico that I knew, material scientists, physicists, interrogate, as they say, the samples for numerous days. I don't believe that I had access to the best equipment. We didn't find anything extraordinary. Other people have. So right now the Army has...
So, but when you say you didn't find anything extraordinary, did you find anything ordinary?
No, they weren't ordinary.
These are the materials here?
That's one of the exact pieces that I had in my hands and worked on with my team, and I filmed it all. But right now, because of TTSA, they've made a deal with the Army, and I think the Army has these parts. But I feel like we're missing the big note here. The big note is, a few years ago, UFOs are still laughable. Military doesn't look after that. Turns out we have programs that do. I'm suspecting, and maybe you can talk more about it, that the next piece of information is that there are reverse engineering programs. which will then make everybody have to look at Lazar's story a little bit differently once again. If we admit that we are trying to reverse engineer either materials or actual craft from somewhere else, intelligently designed metals or craft from somewhere else, if there are crash retrieval programs for vehicles we don't know where they're from, that's going to make me look at Bob's story even more differently.
Right, but isn't that a big? I mean, if they've,
it's an interesting time.
It is, but I mean, there's no indication that they're willing to discuss some retrieved craft, right?
Yeah, I think that's a heavy lift. So supposedly the New York Times is working on that story. I think it'd be pretty hard for
More
them
than supposedly. They are.
Yeah, they are. They've been asking people about this stuff, but I mean, to get that into print, to get it past their editors, that's a hard deal, hard
Alleged
sell.
extraterrestrial material from the bottom of a wedge-shaped craft in the late 1840s made of 26 alternating layers, 1 to 4 microns dark bismuth. Is that how you say that? Bismuth. And 100 to 200 microns of silver, magnesium, zinc alloy. Each of the 6 pieces received from the U.S. Army source were formed with a curvature that tapered.
So basically they're saying there's no process that we know of that would get this alloy layered in that type of layer system. I actually have a piece out about this.
Isn't that kind of how they did samurai swords?
Ooh, that's cool.
I'm not sure that this is alien of any kind, but it is of unknown origin. And
well, Jacques Vallée has like 20, as I said last, Jacques Vallée, he's got like 27 samples of things associated with crash retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody has an archive of this stuff that's being scientifically interrogated right now, and his studies do show isotopic ratios that are not from this earth, so he's confident with his research. My big point...
He's confident with his research of what?
Well, you'd have to talk. You should talk with Jacques, but he
right. But what is it of that you can say
that he has alloys that came from UFO crashes or runoff.
Has anybody independently analyzed those?
Yeah, he's got a whole.
He's got a presenting. He says
whole people.
Well, how comes in like public knowledge? Why isn't this in the New York Times?
You got to talk with Jacques, whether you have him as a guest or not. You should talk with him.
How old is Jacques now?
He's getting up there because
he's in his 80s.
Yeah.
I think.
We have to go to him, right, with a hazmat suit on.
No, he's a strong dude. He's strong.
San Francisco.
Specific.
Address. Yeah.
Here's the thing. The program is ongoing. It doesn't have to find aliens. There are legitimate national security reasons to be looking at who's flying these craft. These things are still being seen over our military installations, and our Pentagon wants to know who's flying them. And that's a perfectly legitimate inquiry, regardless of little green men. No one wants to say there at the Pentagon that we're investigating UFOs and aliens. They're just investigating where did these things come from? Are they a threat? Can we duplicate that technology? If the Russians or the Chinese get this stuff before we do, if they can do what the Tic Tac did, it's a game changer. So they want to know whose it is and how we can duplicate it. And that is a perfectly legitimate inquiry whether they're aliens or not.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Eddie said he was a CIA.
It was before Eddie was deep into conspiracies. Back then, it was like he was like into UFOs and shit. It was barely into conspiracies. He's way off the deep end.
So you got into UFOs, man. That guy, goddamn. Like, well, maybe it is true.
I'm scheduled to have a phone call this afternoon with George Knapp. He wants to brief me on all this shit. George Knapp is the guy that broke the Bob Lazar story in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And, he shares my opinion. He's like, most of this is bullshit. Most of these people are liars. Most of these people are crazy.
Right.
But there's some real shit out there, too. Like a lot of these Air Force pilots, they have eyes on this fucking thing that's going 600 miles away in a second, like dropping down from 60,000 feet to 10 feet, like in a second.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. We don't know what the fuck this is. We have no idea how these things are doing this.
Right. And that's some hillbilly, like, just talking about Sasquatch.
Exactly. Yeah, it's air pilots. Yeah. People who, they're trained to fly jets and have gunfights in the fucking sky.
Right.
These are exceptional human beings.
Yeah.
When they see things like that, you got to go, they know what the fuck they're seeing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Every day, you could go out there and look in the sky and you don't see shit. You go, there's nothing up there because you're not seeing it. But if you go to a fucking lake, you're never going to see a shark. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean sharks aren't real.
Right.
It's like you're looking in the wrong spot, or you aren't there when they show up, but they're real. So we have enough accumulated data to know that, there are sharks. You know, they are real, but they're not in lakes. They're in the ocean. Here's where they are. This is how you find them. Go to South Africa. Oh, look, there's a shark.
Yeah, let's go to Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah. Or fucking Catalina. Off of Catalina, there's a shit ton of them.
I worked at Boy Scout camp in Catalina, and I was teaching snorkeling. And that was like, the whole time I was shitting myself.
Oh, my God.
It's the nicest water in the world, though. It's so warm and salty. You just float, you know?
We did fear out there a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, we did a couple of stunts.
Nice.
A couple of water stunts.
It's a cool. We stayed on the other side, like there's the hotels on the one side and everything. We were on the other side, the campsites. It was awesome. Awesome. I was like 13, and I got so roasted. My entire body became one blister.
Oh, no.
Stupid. I was stupid.
No sunscreen?
None. Out there all day long. Yeah.
So I don't know if, UFOs are real, but it's certainly believable enough. It's not like the sky's empty. It's filled with stars.
So after speaking with them, do you think we've had contact like that?
I tell.
Yeah,
because
but
they could have been
for
lying.
your own opinion, not for listeners, not for anybody else. Just you, when you're at home and you're chilling, do you think it?
I don't know. I really honestly don't know. I couldn't say yes or no. I'm more inclined now to think there's something going on than I was before I met Lazar and watched that documentary. Because I was on not that I was saying that aliens are not real. I think there's 100% life out there.
For sure.
Let's just say that.
It's too big.
Right. It just doesn't make any sense that there isn't.
Right.
It's the question of whether the weird question. And it's also, the problem is that you feel foolish talking about it because so many people who believe in it are foolish. And so many people who tell stories, their stories are foolish. So you feel foolish kind of going along with it.
Right.
But I'm very careful about stuff like that because I'm like, just because something makes you feel foolish doesn't mean it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Or doesn't mean it isn't
wrong.
true. Yeah. So I definitely think there's a very high likelihood that there's life out there. And it's entirely possible that something's gotten here before. But as to whether or not something really has made contact with people, I don't know. If I would say, like, where's my scale, it's like probably 65% believe.
Yeah.
35% going,
Especially after talking to that guy.
Yeah. But he could have experienced something that was an experimental aircraft that they didn't want to tell him.
Right.
You never know, man. I mean, I just don't know what the tech. Look, I'm a moron. Like, I don't understand physics at all. I have no knowledge of propulsion systems or mathematics, and I don't know what the top of the field in propulsion experts are capable of today. I don't know. There might be some shit that they're working on that they've never really perfected, so they've never actually implemented it in the battlefield or something like that,
Right.
but they have some sort of a drone that looks like it would be filled with 3-foot-tall people like these aliens that they described.
Right.
I don't know.
And they're not going to fill you in on that. If you think it's aliens, then fine. It's fucking aliens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what that was? I mean, they're taking this guy who was a physicist from Los Alamos Labs who went to Caltech, and they sent him to these classes at MIT to learn fucking nuclear shit, and then they try to see if he can figure out how to back engineer something. They try to say, that doesn't mean it comes from another world. I mean,
Right.
it could have been a Russian thing. It could have been something that the Germans figured out. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. But I'm more inclined to believe him than not believe him.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was full of it. You know?
Exactly.
And just looking at him, he also seemed like he even wanted to be here.
He did. He was talking about it before
Yeah.
we even got out here. It's like, I just got to tell you, I'm getting a migraine.
Yeah.
And like, Jeremy was trying to talk him into doing it. Like, we're going to be fine, George. I mean, Bob, this is important. It's really good to do this, and we're going to be able to really get the story out. But I think more people told me that they got more out of the conversation because it's just him talking, no spooky music, no edits.
Right.
And you get to see, like, he's honest about what he knows and doesn't know. And when he would say, like, what do you think about this? He's like, maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's like, he wasn't a bullshitter.
He didn't rehearsed or
Right.
full of shit, nothing.
No.
Like, what he was saying, if he didn't believe in that, at least to himself, what he was saying, I'd be fucking amazed.
And his story has not deviated in 30 plus years, which you can't you try to have me tell a story of something that actually really did happen from 30 years ago, and I probably told it a bunch of different times.
I don't know what we started podcast
exactly.
with, you know?
It's hard, especially when my memory varies day to day. Like some days it's awesome, and some days it's dog shit.
Yeah, it's crazy how that.
Yeah.
You've had a few concussions, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Same here.
Yeah.
I have horrible memory.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
What is your perspective after the incident versus before the incident? Like, how much did it change the way you view the world and our place in the world?
For me, I never believed that we were alone. It's just me. I just look up and go, there's way too many stars up there for us to be in one life. After it, it makes it a little more clear to go, one, my questions are, where'd it come from? That's the biggest one. Where'd it come from? What was it doing? And then I've asked, why me? I mean, why did I happen to be, because you can say wrong place, wrong time.
Right. Or right place, right time.
Or right place, right time. For me, it was, I think there's more out there. And if I could get word out to anyone, it's like, especially the debunkers of, one, quit trying to debunk it, because it is what it is. There wasn't a system glitch. This was a real incident that happened. And number two is, let's open our aperture a little bit and start thinking outside of the box. If you go, you look at it and go, hey, it's this non-reactive propulsion. Well, it's because when we came up with propulsion, we the people long before us came up with a reactionary propulsion system, and that became our standard. Had we done something different or we developed non-reaction, we might look at something like a gasoline engine and go, holy cow, how's that thing work?
Right.
We wouldn't have that idea. So, I think there's, if you look at it and go, people thought Einstein was kind of nuts, and we're still proving his theories today. And what we're learning is that he was right, and he was right. There was a time when the Earth was flat, except for some people in California. The Earth isn't flat; it's round.
It's not just people in California; they're all over the place.
There's not an ice wall.
Right.
So when you look at that and you go, a lot of the stuff that we thought was true isn't true. It's totally been changed. So for me, I just say, I think let's get outside of the box and go, if we can develop a technology that would, and I don't look at it from a military standpoint, because it would be a game changer from a military standpoint. Technology like that would be a game changer for mankind completely. I mean, it would literally, everything that we do, and we don't know exactly, you could, do you want that system in a car? People have trouble driving in 2 dimensions, let alone 3.
Right.
It's kind of like your joke last night. I mean, you can't even handle the vaping thing, let alone driving a car that goes up, down, works in 3 dimensions.
Well, that was what they wanted helicopters to be. They wanted to be flying cars.
Yeah, if you get out on the road, you see how people drive. And I always laugh because people think, well, we're 3-dimensional. Like, we know that this table is not the floor, but really humans are 2-dimensional people. And you learn that, especially when we would fight, if you can really work in the 3rd dimension, which is up, and you go, well, we are 3-dimensional. I go, no, if you look at like a tall building is, 1,700 feet high, the big ones. And you go, no, for an F-18 to do a split S, which is go from up here and just do a vertical 180-degree turn, so you're going this way and you go down here. It's like 2,500 feet. And that's tight. That's a tight turn for a jet, unless you're running like vectored thrust stuff, but everything has a cost. So if you do some big Hayaka, you bleed off energy, there's a cost associated with that. That to a pilot, that's 3 dimensions. To most people on Earth, you go, no, I look at a hill and go, I don't want to walk up that thing.
Right.
And in an airplane, it's a totally different thing. So if we just open up that expanse, for what we're trying to do for technology and go, is there another way? Because we still build suckers and blowers, which is a jet engine. We just refine the internals, the turbines, to get them to be more efficient. Where I go, why don't you just put your efforts someplace else? Like I was talking to, there's a whole realm of physics that really doesn't get explained, and it's. I was talking to Steve Justice about it. It's more into the magnetics type side that we don't spend a lot of time on. And I know he said when he was working at Skunk Works, he did it's called IRAD, Internal Research and Development money, that he would fund to try and look at some of these other technologies for propulsion. And He's now since retired, but really impressive to talk to him at the level that you can, which is, for us would be an unclassified level. But, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, there's reasons for it, because if a technology like that got out where someone could rapidly reproduce it after all you've done, or they got it first, you think of the atomic bomb, Germans almost had it. We got it. Russians were working on it. We got it first. Changed the world. Literally changed the world when we detonated the first one. And you go, I'm not going to get into the politics behind it, but now we had it, and now it was the race everyone else because they had to get on equal par because it's a destabilizing thing. And now all of a sudden, if you develop a technology like this and you keep it to yourself, you've got something that no one else has, and it's a huge leap. I mean, it's a quantum leap. Do you share it because it's a mankind thing, or do you keep it for yourself? And that's right now. It's not for me to decide. I'm just Dave.
Well, it's fascinating that some other method of propulsion could have been established in some other place.
Yeah.
And that we're experiencing it, or that you've experienced it, and some other folks have experienced it in action. And I just think for us as people, as human beings in 2019, it's really easy to think that what we have now is so amazing, and that what we have now is the pinnacle of discovery, and that what we have now is, with our electricity and with our LED screens, and that we are experiencing like the height of technology. When if you're some creature from some other planet that is got easy access to element 115 and some gravity propulsion system, you're looking at us like we're digging holes in the side of a mountain to protect ourselves from the rain. We're cave people.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we here on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like a first world, like the United States,
Sure.
or the developed nations, and then you go to some of these other and go, people are still getting their water out of a hole in the ground with a bucket.
Right, or people in the rainforest that are living these indigenous lifestyles. Yeah.
So, take them something. I mean, take them one of these flat screens down to one of these tribes that no one's ever seen and go, hey, look.
Yeah.
And start showing them pictures of themselves that you're shooting real time or video that's feeding directly into it. They'll freak out.
They'll think it's
like,
magic.
Would you capture my soul?
Right.
So it's where are we at, and what are we going to do, and what can we do?
Did it change the way you look at life? I mean, even though you knew that, or you had this feeling that we were not alone just from looking at the stars, but when you actually see the thing, like how, I mean, I would imagine that has got to really shift your perspective.
I don't know if it shifted my perspective, but it was more of it's a validation.
A confirmation.
You go, yeah, I've always like, oh God, there's a lot of stars. And then you see something like this and go, well, maybe we're not. Because that pushes you to the next point to go, if one lands in my front yard, then I'll be 100% sure that we are not alone because it's sitting in my front yard. But, I mean, I got within a half mile of this thing, which is, people go, well, a half mile is pretty far away. Again, not when you're flying an airplane. A half mile is like really tight.
When they bring you have these conversations with high-level government officials, how long are these conversations?
So I've talked to 3 different groups of people.
This is post the New York Times article? So the New York Times article came in 2017.
Yes.
And then our government.
The other pilot was involved, had been to D.C. multiple times. This is how I got in touch with Lou. She had called me and said, hey, I need to talk to you. So I called her and I said, what's going on? She says, hey, has anyone called you about the Tic Tac? And I said, no. She goes, I've been to the Pentagon like a half dozen times. And they'll take me in and anywhere from Starbucks to, inside of a vault. And she goes, and they'll talk to me about the story, and then they'll show me a picture. Something goes to look like this. And then she gets pretty frustrated and goes, we call it the Tic Tac because it looked like a Tic Tac. What part don't you get? I mean, go get a thing of Tic Tacs and look at them.
When they're saying, did it look, are they showing actual crafts that they have?
No, not pictures that they have, but a video from someone else. Like they'd show the gimbal video. Hey, did it look like this?
Okay.
And it was no. So, and that's when I told her, I said, well, just tell this guy that you're talking to, just give him my name and number. I go, I'll talk to him. It's not a big deal to me. And that started. So when I got asked, multiple times to go down and talk to people, one of them was supposed to be 20 minutes. And these are important people. Getting 20 minutes of some of these folks' time is like, that's a huge deal. So we went in thinking, okay, we're going to do the thing, 20 minutes, and then we're in. And an hour and a half later, we came out. I mean, that's the interest. of, and there were some, you get the group, the folks that come in and out, but there's a few that just sat there and were enamored by what we were saying. Like, you're joking. We're like, no, this is all real. I mean, these are pretty senior officials that are taking the time out of their day to take this serious, to go, maybe we do need to put a little emphasis on this. I mean, if literally, if something can just show up at will and do whatever it wants, and I'd probably at least pay attention.
Yeah, pay attention. What would be done? I mean, what could they do? If you put yourself in a position of one of these high-level government officials, what do you do? Just spend more money on looking at them?
I'll get money, though. I mean, I know when the article came out and they talked about the ATIP program, that Harry Reid got funded $22 million over 5 years. So it's $4.4 million a year. And you go, everyone's freaking out. Oh, it's $22 million. I go, no, it wasn't $22 million a year. It was $4.4 million. That's not even in the rounding error for the United States. We just got approved, it was $750 billion for a defense budget. $750 billion. If you took $100 million out of that, it's not even going to put a dent. And I go, why can't you? If you're only spending $4.4 million a year and you can actually get some good work done, because you don't need a huge team, because you figure if you look at, I think what's the number, like 10-15% of all these UFOs, like if you look at Project Blue Book, really remained unexplained. And you go, okay, so you can weed out, you can read out me flying over someone in a campfire and lighting my afterburners. So you can go, no, that was Dave being Dave. So you can weed that stuff out. Now you go, now I'm really kind of concentrating the funds. The most important thing, and I talked to the folks when we were talking, because we talked about funding, and I said, let me leave you with this. And I had got some pretty good stuff. I was talking to Chris Mellon, who's a former undersecretary and understands how the government works. So it was where he gave me some really good feedback. And I talked to him. I said, look, I'm all for you guys funding a program. But what you need to do is fund a program that there's going to be oversight over. When I say oversight, I mean, because what happens is you go, here's money, but we're going to distribute it in the government. So we're going to distribute it to these 3 different agencies across the United States government. I don't just call them agency A, B, and C. So you give it to them, and I'll go back to like the 9/11 stuff where we really had the answer, but all the agencies weren't talking to each other to put all the pieces together. And that's my fear, that you go, hey, we're going to take $100 million of taxpayer money. We're going to fund a program to actually seriously investigate this stuff and look at the technology. But there are 3 different entities working on their own and not talking to each other. So there's got to be a joint collaboration to where we go, we're going to do it, but, Joe's going to be in charge, and you guys are all going to play nice in the sandbox together, because we want to get our money's worth, because people will raise the fraud, waste, and abuse flag that we're wasting money on something stupid.